If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 121, Science became an unpopular major. The creation of chakra batteries was extremely significant, marking the emergence of a new energy source in the shinobi world's production and daily life. Looking at the entire Naruto series, it is clear that the technology inside is largely skewed. This is likely because being a shinobi and taking missions is more profitable, so shinobi rarely apply their skills to production and daily life. Most inventions by shinobi are also aimed at making killing more convenient and efficient. Thus, the creation of chakra batteries can also represent shinobi becoming a part of future production and daily life. Has that thing been completed yet? Uzumaki Jun looked at the elder, whom he had kept by his side, and asked. For Uzumaki to grow stronger and survive in war, formidable military power is indispensable. Without the military capability to deter the 5 great shinobi villages, all of Uzumaki efforts would be in vain. Yes, the elder nodded helplessly. It has been made, but it is bulky, has weak firepower, and consumes too much energy. It is not very useful in war. Hearing the elder's words, Uzumaki Jun became curious. He hadn't expected it to be completed in just a few days, but the results didn't seem great. This was probably inevitable. After all, shinobi's mobility is extremely high. Something like a chakra cannon is too obvious for shinobi, making it easy for them to dodge. After all, wouldn't you notice a giant cannon barrel pointing at you? This was likely why, in Naruto, chakra cannons could only be used to shoot at the moon and couldn't help them fight against the Otsutsuki trio. It wasn't until the emergence of scientific ninja tools that science gradually began to be applied in warfare. Continue, Uzumaki Jun said helplessly. Take it step by step, making smaller, lighter, and more powerful scientific ninja tools. Although this was currently a time of peace, this period was only to protect Uzumaki, they needed strong military power. Right now, they could rely on him to intimidate the shinobi world. But if he were held back or absent from Uzumaki, things would turn dire. Moreover, the shinobi world would not allow another god of shinobi to emerge. Therefore, no matter what, Uzumaki would be dragged into the Second Shinobi World War. However, it was impossible to rapidly increase the number of shinobi in a short time. Even if they could, they would only be cannon fodder. As for science, this was something that defied logic. The emergence of a single invention could make a difference for everyone. Yes, we are currently researching this, the elder nodded. He understood the situation Uzumaki was facing. Their strongest fighter was only Uzumaki Jun. If he were held back, military conscription must also be implemented, Uzumaki Jun said. Have those aged 18 to 40 undergo military training 1 day per week. Perhaps turning these people into shinobi would only waste resources. But if Uzumaki truly faced war, they wouldn't be completely clueless and might even play an unexpected role. Teaching them basic combat skills and chakra extraction and usage would be enough. The rest would depend on themselves. It seems we still lack taijutsu specialists and kenjutsu specialists. These 2 types were the most suitable for civilians, but aside from him, the cheater, Uzumaki probably had no one else. This is such a headache. They also needed to build ships. How could they become a maritime power without ships? That would be a joke. Just as Uzumaki Jun was about to ask the system what kind of ships would suit the current shinobi world. By the way, another project has succeeded, the elder took out a scroll and said. The engraving of the ultra-lightweight rock technique has also been completed. We can now control the levitation ability of the ultra-lightweight rock technique by adjusting the amount of chakra. Oh! Uzumaki Jun's eyes lit up. He took the scroll and asked, can it be used on any object? If so, he suddenly had an idea. Yes, it can, the elder nodded. Basically, as long as the technique's seal is engraved, it will work. If that's the case. Uzumaki Jun smiled faintly and muttered, perhaps a Lancier Triphibius warship could. Danzo leaned back in his chair, quietly reading a book. He wasn't worried about whether Konoha would come to redeem him. After all, he was the darkness of the shinobi. Why had Hiruzen agreed to let him establish root back then? Wasn't it because there were things he could do, but the Hokage could not? How foolish, Danzo murmured as he looked at the book in his hands. Revealing to your superior that you want to kill him and take his position, ha! If he had dared to do that, Hiruzen would have dismissed him the next day for stepping into the Hokage building with his right foot. Then, he would have been reinstated a few days later. After all, his role was indispensable. This book is useful to me. Danzo sneered and closed the book. How ridiculous! Looking at the root shinobi standing silently beside him, he sighed helplessly. The darkness of the shinobi had never suffered such humiliation before. That damned brat! The god of shinobi? What a joke! He wondered when Hiruzen would come to retrieve him. He suddenly missed Konoha. For Uzumaki to forge its own path, it couldn't blindly copy everything from Earth. After all, the shinobi world had its own advantages. The correct approach was to integrate the two, taking the essence and discarding the dregs. So, why make airplanes? They should make airships instead. Spacious and comfortable. If they installed a few chakra cannons on them, wouldn't that make them mobile fortresses? Just like the Sky Ninja Village's Yukoku fortress. Right now, the Sky Ninja Village hadn't been destroyed yet, so Uzumaki couldn't obtain their ancestral technology. But, during the Second Shinobi World War, this village would be annihilated by Konoha. They could just send people to scavenge then. Of course, it would be even better if they could bring back some scientists. They could also criticize Konoha's cruel and unethical actions. Uzumaki Jun pondered as he walked toward Uzumaki affiliated elementary school. Today was the official opening day, as it was time for those kids to start school. However, according to the elder, very few children had enrolled in the science program. Everyone wanted to become true powerhouses, not scholars. This was truly a headache. Of course, this was also because the most famous figures in the shinobi world were all shinobi. Moreover, Uzumaki still lacked a systematic body of scientific knowledge tailored to it. The technology in the Naruto world was skewed. So, he exchanged some elementary to high school level physics and chemistry knowledge from the system, hoping the elders could learn it and compile a set of knowledge suitable for the shinobi world. How many people have enrolled today? Uzumaki Jun asked the clan head curiously. Currently, the clan head was not only the Minister of Foreign Affairs but also the Vice Principal of the Academy. Of course. The principal was him, Uzumaki Jun. But since he was too busy, the Academy's affairs were mostly handled by the clan head. Nearly 300 children have enrolled, the clan head said helplessly. But almost none chose the science program. Some children don't even have the talent to become shinobi, yet they still refuse to give up. Uzumaki Jun sighed inwardly. It seemed they had to establish scientific honors and awards early, elevating scientists' prestige to the same level as shinobi. Otherwise, this major would remain unpopular. Hiriko, when will you arrive? He sighed helplessly in his heart. Chapter 122, Not Enough Talent, How to Become a Ninja. Uzumaki Jun walked slowly through the academy, observing. Back in the day, he had received 9 years of compulsory education plus 3 years of high school and 4 years of university. He was an intellectual with advanced knowledge. But just as he was starting to look for a job, he inexplicably ended up here. Now, even though he was still a child, he didn't have to study anymore. This feeling of watching children attend classes while he had already graduated with a PhD was truly satisfying. Suddenly, Uzumaki Jun noticed some movement on the nearby training field. He felt puzzled. Right now, all the children should be in the classroom attending theory lessons. So where was the movement on the field coming from? There's a child, the clan leader said, noticing Uzumaki Jun's confusion. He shook his head with a bitter smile. He has no talent for being a ninja. We suggested he study science instead, but he refused. So? Uzumaki Jun nodded in understanding. This child wasn't a student of the academy? But how did he get inside? If he remembered correctly, outsiders weren't allowed to enter the academy. Kita pleaded with me to let this child become an auditing student, the clan leader explained. Kita. Uzumaki Jun was quite familiar with this name. He was one of the several jonin who had accompanied him to Konoha to recruit refugees. According to Kai, he was very talented. Uzumaki Jun grew even more curious. Is he related to Kita? No, he's one of the refugees we brought back last time, the clan leader said, shaking his head. An orphan from the orphanage. But Kita seems to care a lot about him. Is that so? Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin. He wanted to see for himself what kind of child could make Kita care so much. Maybe there was something special about him. Achoo! Achoo! Uzumaki Kita sneezed a few times, rubbed his nose, and muttered, "Is Yuzu thinking about me?" Thinking of this, a smile appeared on his face. If only Yuzu could. However. Slap! Kita angrily turned his head to see who had interrupted him. He had just been imagining his future with Yuzu, even naming their future children. Kai. Kai-sama. Seeing the person standing behind him staring coldly, Kita immediately wilted and said awkwardly. Getting caught daydreaming during training by a superior was a sure way to get into trouble. What's with that creepy smile? Uzumaki Kai said sternly, looking at Kita. Focus on training. Yes. Kita quickly responded, then turned back to the team he was leading and shouted, "Everyone, attention! Otherwise, he would definitely face punishment later." Kita sighed helplessly in his heart. Why was Shij so obsessed with becoming a ninja? Being a ninja was dangerous. And he couldn't even use ninjutsu. Why train so hard? What a troublesome kid, coming back covered in injuries every day after training. Recently, because he kept hiring medical ninjas to treat Shij, his savings had dwindled significantly. He even had to be careful about where he went on dates now. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to afford the bill. Uzumaki Jun was stunned by the 7-year-old child in front of him. He never expected someone to undergo such intense training. The kid had such strong willpower. Despite his severe injuries, he was still doing one-handed push-ups. We've already tried to persuade him, the clan leader said helplessly. This kind of training could lead to hidden injuries, but he still won't listen. Uzumaki Jun sighed. There were a few stubborn kids in the Naruto world, and it seemed this was one of them. After training, send him to the hospital for a checkup, Uzumaki Jun said. As for the cost, the academy will cover it. Since the kid had such determination, he might as well sponsor him. Who knows, maybe he'd become the Might Dai of Uzushiagakuer. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Jun smiled wryly. It seemed he was too desperate for a taijutsu prodigy. How could there be so many Might Dais in the ninja world? Even if there were, they'd be part of Konoha's green scenery. They wouldn't appear in Uzushiagakuer. Alright, the clan leader sighed. Kita has complained before. He's spent a lot of money treating this kid's injuries. He asked me not to assign him too much training, but this kid just won't listen. Though his tone was helpless, the clan leader secretly admired the child's spirit. Even among the Uzumaki clan, known for their strong vitality, few children dared to train this hard at such a young age. So someone was already paying the medical bills. Uzumaki Jun glanced again at the child still training and smiled. Maybe miracles do happen. However, miracles. The clan leader chuckled but said nothing more. Miracles weren't that easy to come by. Thud. Shij suddenly flipped up and stood, looking at the two people in front of him with a smile. Vice Principal Sama. The clan leader kept a straight face and nodded. Don't overdo your training. Understood. Shij scratched his head with a silly grin. It's fine. I'll be careful. Then, he glanced at the child beside the clan leader and immediately got excited. Jun-sama. Uzumaki Jun was pleased with this reaction. It seemed his reputation was still quite good. He smiled at Shij. Hello. Jun-sama. Shij suppressed his excitement and put on a serious expression. How can I become a ninja? How can I get stronger? After all, Jun-sama was the strongest in Uzushiagakuer. He must know the answer. However, he got stronger because of cheats. How would he know how to get stronger? But he couldn't say that. Persistence. Uzumaki Jun coughed twice and said, persistence leads to results. He didn't want to crush a child's dreams, and he wasn't wrong. Why did Saitama become so strong? Wasn't it because he did 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day without fail? Of course, you could also pay for skins. Why was Minato the star of the 4th Shinobi War, outshining even the 1st and 2nd Hokage? Because he bought a skin. Is that so? Shij lowered his head and looked at his scar-covered hands, murmuring, can I really succeed like this? For so many days, everyone who saw him said the same thing. It's impossible. You can't do it. Just give up. You'll never be a ninja. He was almost ready to quit. But now, Jun-sama said. Keep going. If you doubt yourself, then success is even more impossible. Uzumaki Jun seemed to sense his hesitation and quickly poured him a bowl of motivational soup. Even if this kid couldn't unlock his own exclusive skin, Uzumaki Jun could always exchange reputation points for the 8 gates and give it to him. Then wouldn't he get a new skin? No, wouldn't he become stronger? But without incredible willpower and endurance, giving him the 8 gates would be a waste. So, keep going. Hearing Jun-sama's words, the confusion in Shige's eyes vanished, replaced by determination. He shouted loudly, I will never give up. Perseverance, never giving up, that is my ninja way. Seeing Shige's pumped-up expression, Uzumaki Jun nodded in satisfaction. Perhaps the future Taijutsu pillar of Uzushiagakuer was right here. And the feeling of feeding others motivational soup. It felt amazing. Chapter 123, The Land of Whirlpools treats prisoners well. Land of Whirlpools. Night. Be careful. A masked Anbu Jonin signaled to his 4 teammates. If we can't rescue them, then just kill them. A cold voice came from behind the mask. No one showed any reaction to these words. They simply nodded because they were the assassination squad. Whether the targets were their own people or outsiders, as long as the order came from above, they would carry it out without hesitation. Then move out. Yes. Several figures instantly vanished into the night. Captain Kamaki. Uzunin spoke respectfully to Uzumaki Kamaki. Nothing will go wrong tonight, right? Uzumaki Kamaki patted the Uzunin's shoulder and stretched lazily. Everyone has been working hard lately. Lord Jun said that some villages might act out of desperation and cause trouble these days. Haha, everyone knows that, the Uzunin replied awkwardly. It's just kind of boring. Seems like your training intensity isn't enough then. Uzumaki Kamaki said helplessly. I'll assign you extra training tomorrow. The Uzunin was speechless. Night watch duty really was boring, and this was his first time doing it. Actually, it's still quite fun. Can Captain Kamaki pretend you didn't hear that? Haha. Uzumaki Kamaki smiled and nodded. Before the Uzunin could feel relieved, he calmly said to another short-haired Uzunin beside him, this guy gets triple the training tomorrow. Make sure he remembers it. Yes. The short-haired Uzunin grinned mischievously. I'll make sure of it. Why did I have to open my big mouth? The Uzunin slapped his own face in frustration. There was no way out now, he really would have to endure extra training tomorrow. He quickly changed the subject. By the way, Captain Kamaki, I heard the Land of Whirlpools is reforming its military structure. Are we not going to establish a hidden village? Uzumaki Kamaki gave him a sidelong glance. Don't ask too much. You'll find out when the time comes. From recent developments, he could tell that Lord Jun didn't seem interested in building a hidden village. Instead, he wanted to centralize military power, conduct unified training, and gradually expand the armed forces. This could already be inferred from some of the orders passed down from above. Then will there be no more shinobi in the future? The Uzunin sighed. I thought Uzushiagakuer could become the 6th great hidden village. Shut. Uzumaki Kamaki was about to cut off his complaints when beep. A sharp, piercing alarm suddenly rang out. Enemy attack. All the Uzunin snapped to attention and immediately shouted, rushing toward the source of the alarm. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his eyes tiredly and got up from bed. It had only been a few days, and someone was already launching an attack. Couldn't they be a little more patient? Which village was it this time? Uzumaki Jun looked at the night sky. It was probably around 3 or 4 a.m. Why cause trouble at this hour? Did they really think the Land of Whirlpools had no defenses? Though he loved sleeping in. Let's deal with this first. This alarm was a sealing technique developed by the Elder. Inspired by the household registration and ID system, it involved imprinting a sealing formula on each person and setting up a sealing array around their sleeping quarters. If an unauthorized person entered the array, it would activate, emitting dazzling lights and a shrill alarm. If the sound were better, it'd be like a disco. Uzumaki Jun stared helplessly at the flashing, color-changing array. He had no idea how the Elder came up with this. Did they have a party-loving heart? Aside from the awful noise, the swirling lights totally looked like it. Lord Jun. Kakuzu appeared beside Uzumaki Jun and said flatly, "They're here." "Yeah," Uzumaki Jun sighed. "Making noise in the middle of the night, so annoying." Next time, he'd ask the elder if the sound could be changed. This one was terrible. "Kill them?" Kakuzu asked expressionlessly. "Do you have morning grumpiness?" Uzumaki Jun asked curiously. "No." "Then why so violent?" Uzumaki Jun floated in the air and patted Kakuzu's shoulder. "Don't be so bloodthirsty. The land of whirlpools treats prisoners well. We're short on manpower lately. Road construction needs workers." Kakuzu paused, then nodded. "That's a good idea. Saves money. And if their village pays ransom, we can even make a profit." Suddenly, he felt regret. Back when he robbed people, why did he kill them? Later, finding easy targets became so hard. If he had just taken the money and let them go, then come back periodically to collect more. Right now, the land of whirlpools was struggling financially. If not for this kid restraining him, he'd have gone back to his old ways. "Don't worry, there will be bread, and there will be milk." Uzumaki Jun sighed. "Don't think about shady stuff. The land of whirlpools is a nation of love and peace. If the villages pay to get their people back, do we release them?" Kakuzu asked flatly. "Of course," Uzumaki Jun said. "Consider it tuition fees." "Tuition for what?" "For learning advanced ideologies like prosperity, democracy, civility, harmony, freedom." Hearing this, Kakuzu stared at the kid in disbelief. "You want to throw the shinobi world into chaos?" "No, I'm maintaining peace in the shinobi world." Uzumaki Jun gazed melancholically at the ongoing battle in the distance, filled with emotion. Why didn't anyone understand him? He was a good person. The moment they stepped inside, hearing the sudden music and seeing the colorful lights, they knew they were screwed. They were just here to kill a few people. Did it have to be like this? Music, disco lights. Couldn't they let ANBU do their jobs properly? "Captain!" An ANBU Jonin said grimly, "We're trapped. Trapped by this strange sealing array." "Kill!" the captain said coldly. "Since we've been discovered, act fast. Complete the mission at all costs." "Yes." Just as the ANBU prepared to strike. "Don't be so reckless." A voice suddenly rang in their ears. "The land of whirlpools treats prisoners well." Chapter 124, the first group of people in the shinobi world to have their minds liberated, perhaps starting from here. Just 5 small rats, nothing unexpected happened, and they were all captured by the Uzunin. Uzumaki Jun didn't even need to take action before they were overwhelmed by a group of fearless shadow clones surrounding them one by one. Nowadays, Uzumaki Jun rarely uses shadow clones. Even when he does, unless there are special circumstances, he doesn't create many of them. Just like in the anime, aside from Naruto, who spams a bunch of shadow clones, most people, even those with abundant chakra, rarely create more than 1 or 2 shadow clones, usually just for tactical coordination. The reason is, the pain is shared. Back when he watched the anime, Uzumaki Jun also felt disdain. Why wasn't such a bug-like jutsu used more often? Only later did he realize why. Just imagine, your body isn't injured, but you can still feel pain. That sensation. If it's just for a short while, it's fine. But if it's prolonged, a person might become a maso. As for why Naruto isn't afraid of it, it's probably because of his simple-minded personality. Anyway, Uzumaki Jun doesn't dare to use this jutsu recklessly anymore. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. No wonder it's a forbidden jutsu. Uzumaki Kamaki looked at Jun-sama in confusion as he suddenly sighed. Was it because of the multi-shadow clone jutsu? This jutsu was indeed very powerful and well suited for the Uzumaki clan. "All of them have been sealed," Uzumaki Kamaki said respectfully. "And we've confirmed they are Kumonin ANBU." Oh! Uzumaki Jun was momentarily stunned. No wonder they were so bold. They were from Kumagakure. This village had successfully kidnapped people from Konoha twice in a row, and both times they managed to escape the village, only to be caught in the forest. This is the result of not establishing the correct outlook on life, values, and worldview from a young age. Uzumaki Jun lamented. "Give the order. Have the ethics teachers from the academy give these prisoners 2 hours of ideological and moral education every night." Since they've come to the land of whirlpools, we'll help them rebuild their 3 views. Uzumaki Kamaki felt somewhat speechless at Jun-sama's arrangement. Was this? But he still nodded and replied, understood. Also, arrange morning study sessions for them, and don't forget homework. Uzumaki Jun smirked, narrowing his eyes. They won't be learning for long, so have the teachers work harder recently. He refused to believe that exam-oriented education couldn't save these people with twisted values. Is it over? Danzo put down the book in his hands, listening to the vanished sounds, and muttered, which village was it? How useless could they be? It only took a few minutes before it was over. That brat. Danzo narrowed his eyes. Did he take action? He could sense it that brat was definitely no ordinary cage. That aura even made the darkness of shinobi feel fear. Perhaps another god of shinobi will truly appear, Danzo murmured. Then, he picked up the book again. This social etiquette and manners is quite useful. After reading this book, he finally understood why he was so unpopular in Konoha. It was because his social skills were terrible. Every time he talked to someone, he either scowled or threatened them halfway through. How could anyone want to talk to him like that? It seems I need to change, Danzo muttered. If it's Kumagakuer, Uzumaki Jun watched Kamaki leave, resting his chin on his hands, and muttered, their taijutsu seems pretty good. Looking at the shinobi from Kumagakuer, most of them were skilled in kenjutsu or combat techniques, and Killer Bee's 8-sword style was downright flashy. What's wrong, you want Kumagakuer's taijutsu style? Kakuzu glanced at Uzumaki Jun and asked flatly. Kumagakuer's taijutsu is indeed quite good. Uzumaki Jun nodded. That was true. After all, most Kumonin were muscle-bound, likely from constant training. Do you think Kumagakuer would be willing to trade if we offered these prisoners in exchange? Uzumaki Jun asked. In exchange for their taijutsu techniques. Kakuzu immediately looked at Uzumaki Jun as if he were an idiot. Do you think that's possible? Sigh. It really wasn't possible. No matter what, these were their village's secret techniques. They wouldn't just trade them away. Though he felt a little regretful, Uzumaki Jun wasn't too bothered, because the land of whirlpools couldn't make use of them yet. After all, most of the shinobi in the land of whirlpools right now were Uzumaki, and Kumagakuer's taijutsu style mostly required lightning release to complement it. By the way, what did you want to talk about? Uzumaki Jun looked up at Kakuzu, puzzled. It's late at night. I need to go rest, so make it quick. Kakuzu glanced at the sky outside. Dawn was already breaking. What was there to sleep? Shinobi could go without sleep for a day or two without issue. It's nothing much. I just wanted to ask you. Kakuzu stared intently into Uzumaki Jun's eyes and asked flatly, what is your ideal? Late at night no, early morning and he wants to talk about ideals? Uzumaki Jun suddenly felt a headache. What would you feel if someone who looked like an uncle but was practically old enough to be your grandfather asked you about your ideals? At the very least, Uzumaki Jun felt even more like going back to sleep. Peace in the shinobi world. Uzumaki Jun declared righteously. This world has long been sick. I want to save it. To build a harmonious, peaceful, and kind society. Kakuzu's expression froze. Was this for the sake of peace in the shinobi world? If he didn't know better, it looked like Uzumaki Jun was trying to provoke a world war. Kakuzu suddenly didn't want to continue this conversation. Why had he even asked this question today? You should get some sleep, Kakuzu said flatly. Then, he turned to leave. But... Hey. Actually, Uzumaki Jun said in surprise. I'm telling the truth. Really, for prosperity, democracy, civility, harmony. However, Kakuzu just waved his hand and left without another word. Seeing this, Uzumaki Jun smiled and shook his head, muttering helplessly, I really meant it. He truly wanted to build a harmonious society. He, Uzumaki Jun, was really a good person. I believe you. Suddenly, a faint voice came through. Kakuzu gazed blankly at the slowly brightening sky and murmured, this world has long been sick. Chapter 125, Illegal activities must not be done. Danzo did not have to wait long before Konoha's people arrived. They did not stay long in Uzushiagakuer either. After paying the money, they took Danzo away. In any case, Uzumaki Jun left these matters to the clan head to handle. He really was not in the mood to argue with Konoha's people. Moreover, Konoha's people probably did not have the face to argue either. They surely wanted to resolve things quickly and leave with Danzo as soon as possible. However, according to the clan head, the team leader was a young man with white spiky hair and a short sword strapped to his back. He seemed very strong. Uzumaki Jun immediately became interested. If he was not mistaken, this was likely Konoha's White Fang, famous during the Second Shinobi World War and who also died after the war, the father of the future Hitaki Kakashi. The story of Konoha's White Fang taught us one thing. The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. If you don't have strong backing, don't wear the Hokage's robe sleeves. In any case, Uzumaki Jun felt that Konoha's White Fang's death was quite tragic. He had rendered outstanding service to the village, yet in the end, he was driven to his death by the village. Even his soul could not rest in peace until he finally found solace upon seeing Kakashi. What a pity! Uzumaki Jun sighed and shook his head. He should have gone to see him earlier, just to catch a glimpse of the sixth Hokage's father. Also, why had Zetsu not shown up recently? He was still waiting for news about Hiriko. Was he afraid of being killed and turned into tree fertilizer? Truly worthy of being a filial son who survived for thousands of years. Uzumaki Jun exclaimed with emotion. He then turned to Uzumaki Hibiki beside him. Has anything major happened in the country recently? Nothing too significant, Uzumaki Hibiki flipped through the notes in his hands and said. It's just that the prisoners aren't very obedient to Yuri. There had even been incidents of attacks. Hearing Uzumaki Hibiki's words, Uzumaki Jun smiled faintly. It's fine. As long as the difference in treatment is clear, that's enough. If there are troublemakers, make them copy texts. Jealousy could change a person. This was part of the deal he made with Yuri. Perhaps these people would resent Yuri, despise Yuri, but if they returned to their villages and received even worse treatment, cracks would form in their hearts. The imbalance would grow, and eventually, they would either be killed by their villages or become traitors. Either way, the seeds of conflict would be sown, slowly nurtured until they finally erupted. The only downside was that Yuri would probably have a hard time. Not only would his own village want to kill him, but other villages might also want him dead. Ah! Uzumaki Jun sighed regretfully. Have they been attending classes properly recently? The prisoner camp was a place in Uzushiogakure where foreign captives were treated well. The area was surrounded by Uzunin and barriers. Without special means, escape was absolutely impossible. Repay kindness with kindness, repay resentment with virtue. A Uzunin read from a book. Take a step back, and the world becomes vast. Endure for a moment, and the storm will pass. If everyone contributes a little love, the world will become a better place. More forgiveness, more green hats. Alright, that's all for today. Copy what I've said 10 times before the next class. The Uzunin ignored the prisoner's disdainful looks. He knew his words sounded ridiculous. The shinobi world was one of life and death. A moment of mercy could mean doom, but those who fail the dictation tomorrow won't get to eat. The Uzunin smirked coldly, then packed up and prepared to leave. He still had to prepare lessons for tomorrow's class at the academy. Those students. They were the future of Uzushiogakure. Kenji, wait a moment. Seeing the Uzunin teacher about to leave, another slightly older Uzunin walked over and said, let's go together. Ga. Kenji held the book and nodded with a smile. Have you finished your work for today? Done. Ga stretched lazily. With the kid at the academy now, things are a bit easier. Oh? Ei is at the academy? Kenji asked in surprise. I haven't seen him. He's not in your class. Ga said with relief. Before I knew it, Ei was already old enough to attend school. By the way, the ethics lessons at the academy, aren't they? Ga hesitated, glancing at the book in Kenji's hands. He had overheard Kenji's lecture earlier. If Ei was learning the same things, he might have to pull him out of school. You're worried about that? Kenji paused, then laughed. Don't worry, this is a special edition. It was specially compiled by Lord Jun for those people. The academy doesn't teach this. Kenji patted Ga's shoulder. We know what we're doing. Then why? Ga asked. These prisoners won't believe it anyway. That, I don't know. Kenji shrugged helplessly. Lord Jun said they just need to memorize it. As for the rest, even if they don't follow it, these teachings will eventually spread to their villages. There will always be a few saints among them. Remember. Kenji suddenly looked serious as he stared at Ga. Don't go spreading this around. Understood. Ga was taken aback, then smiled. I've been a shinobi for 10 years. I know how to keep secrets. Kamaizuru clan's base. Clan head. A member of the Kamaizuru clan walked over and respectfully addressed Kamaizuru-si. This is the income from the past few days. I heard that because our bees are beneficial to health, even more people are rushing to buy them. We might run short on supply. Kamaizuru-si took the document and skimmed through it, feeling a surge of emotion. The people of Ozashiagakure are really wealthy. By the way, have all taxes been paid? Kamaizuru-si looked at the young man sternly. Tax evasion is illegal. Yes. The young man nodded. All taxes have been paid. Today, we were notified that taxes will be collected monthly from now on. We'll need to go to the tax office ourselves to pay. Just make sure you handle it properly. Kamaizuru-si said. Also, remind the clansmen not to engage in illegal activities. Everyone knows. The young man replied. It's just that some clansmen have started looking for jobs after gathering honey. Uzashiagakure is currently short on Earth-style shinobi, so those who know Earth release techniques are paid quite well. Hearing this, Kamaizuru-si felt relieved. It seemed everyone had gradually calmed down and was adapting to their new lives. This was because Uzashiagakure had clearly defined what was allowed and what wasn't. As long as they didn't break the law, they could live as they pleased. After becoming familiar with the environment, they no longer felt as restrained. Let them be. Kamaizuru-si shook his head. What about the children? Chapter 126, Making Noodles. Mom, I'm back. A child knocked on the door and walked in, saying, Dad, Mom. I heard you. Wash your hands right after coming back, a gentle voice replied. We'll eat when your dad gets home. Okay. The child put away their things and went to the bathroom. Seeing this, the mother smiled and nodded, feeling a surge of emotion inside. Life in Uzashiagakure. It's really nice. At the sink, she turned on the faucet and began washing vegetables. Looking around at the surroundings. Due to the clan's financial situation, 3 or 4 families usually lived in one building. But because the houses in Uzashiagakure were sturdy, comfortable, and spacious, it didn't feel crowded at all. In fact, it was even more comfortable than their previous home. And it was very convenient too. At least here, there were faucets and bathrooms, as well as her favorite kitchen. Mom, Mom. The child finished washing their hands and ran to the kitchen, looking at their mother and asking, Where's Dad? Your dad went out to look for a job today, the mother replied with a smile. By then, we might have our own house. It was said that Uzashiagakure made it easier for its citizens to buy homes by allowing them to pay a down payment first and then slowly repay the rest. Although living together wasn't cramped at all. Just thinking about having a house of their own made her happy. Really? The child's eyes suddenly lit up. Then can I have my own room too? Yoshio is so annoying. He always kicks the blanket when he sleeps. They complained to their mother. It makes me sleep so badly. Haha. The mother chuckled helplessly. You. Don't talk nonsense. Yoshio is such a good kid. It's true. The child frowned. I'm not lying. All right, all right. The mother said. Set the table. Your dad should be back soon. Okay. The child happily jumped to their spot. I want the room on the 2nd floor. How's life at the academy? Kamaizuru-si looked at his daughter. Although Meiji had already said the children were doing well at the academy, as the leader of the Kamaizuru clan, he still cared deeply about the next generation. It's so much fun. A little girl with brown hair nodded happily. I've made lots of new friends. Has anyone bullied you? Kamaizuru-si frowned and asked. Children were sensitive. If they couldn't fit in here, problems might arise later. No. The little girl shook her head, puzzled by her father's question. No one bullied me. Everyone is happy. Is that so? Kamaizuru-si nodded. It seemed no one was being discriminated against. He sighed in relief. That was good. Father, can I bring some honey tomorrow? The little girl asked eagerly. For my new friends. Yes. Kamaizuru nodded solemnly. You can ask Miji for it. Thank you, father. The little girl immediately jumped for joy and ran to her room. Seeing this, Kamaizuru smiled faintly and murmured, perhaps. This kind of life isn't bad either. Uzushiagakur, orphanage. Mom, Mom. Uzumaki Jun arrived using the Flying Thunder God technique. Recently, his parents rarely came home, or rather. One became the director of the orphanage, and the other became the Minister of Land Resources. Both were so busy they'd gone crazy. They even forgot they had an 8-year-old child. Lately, Uzumaki Jun had been cooking for himself. Just thinking about it made him feel pitiful. Coming. Uzumaki Myron, with her red hair, walked out and rubbed her child's head, sighing. It's been so many days since I last did this. I really missed it. Uzumaki Jun ignored his mother's antics and dodged her hand, asking helplessly, has the orphanage been busy lately? Not really. Uzumaki Myron blinked. It's just the start of the school term, so there are some things to handle. And that's why you haven't come home for so many days. Come home? I did come back. Uzumaki Myron said in surprise, then seemed to remember something. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Your dad bought a house a few days ago. I've been staying there with him lately. Uzumaki Jun was speechless. Were they moving out because they thought their son was disturbing their honeymoon? And they didn't even tell him. You're not coming back? Uzumaki Jun asked helplessly. You've grown up, Uzumaki Myron said sentimentally, patting Uzumaki Jun's head. You need to learn to live independently. I'm only 8 years old. Uzumaki Jun stared wide-eyed at his carefree parents. According to Uzushiagaku's laws, he was only in 3rd grade. And they were already this relaxed about it. And Uzumaki Myron narrowed her eyes at Uzumaki Jun and smiled. Make sure to visit us more often. Uzumaki Jun decided to ignore his mother. She made it sound like they were retired and waiting for their child to visit. But they were the ones who abandoned their son. So, since the orphanage was established, Uzumaki Jun hadn't visited. This time, he decided to take a look. Hey! Uzumaki Jun's ears twitched. This voice sounds familiar. All of you, eat everything. Uzumaki Kushina stood with her hands on her hips, glaring at the children in front of her. Eat it all up. Please spare me. One child looked at the pot of black substance in front of the red-haired little demon girl and begged. This black stuff isn't fit for humans. Yet, another child agreed. You should stop cooking. But I made noodles. Kushina puffed out her cheeks and pointed at the pot of charcoal-like substance. Not rice. Who cares what you made? It's inedible either way. But the children only dared to wail internally. Saying it out loud would earn them a beating. No more excuses. Kushina put her hands on her hips. Eat it all up. I just remembered I haven't finished my homework, one child said expressionlessly as he stood up. I've decided not to eat tonight. I'll stay up and finish my homework. Then, he ran off without looking back. Seeing this, all the other children stood up. I remember too. My homework. And mine. They all panicked and tried to leave. But all of you. Kushina, seeing this, immediately understood what was happening. Her hair flared as she roared, don't you dare. Before she could finish. Jun and I. Seeing the child who suddenly walked in, Kushina immediately clasped her hands behind her back, hiding the pot of noodles she had made, and lowered her head shyly. The other children, seeing this, quickly fled. They had a feeling things were about to go very badly. Was it just their imagination? Uzumaki Jun looked at the pot of black charcoal behind Kushina and suddenly felt a stomachache. Was she going to make him eat all of it next? But oh. Kushina blocked the pot and said awkwardly, this is for Shij. He trains very late every day. As his big sister, ahem. As their sister, I should take care of them. Uzumaki Jun took another look at the black substance. Shij. That name sounded familiar. Would he still have an appetite after training? Or rather, after eating this, would he even have the energy to train tomorrow? Uzumaki Jun suddenly felt a little sorry for Shij. Chapter 127, he used to never smile. Konoha. Looking at the still peaceful village, Danzo's heart was filled with emotion. How long had it been since he last returned? As the darkness of shinobi, he had always silently protected Konoha, protected Hiruzen from the shadows. How he longed for Konoha to become stronger. But Hiruzen was too indecisive. In every situation, he wanted to compromise, never daring to take harsh measures. It was always him. The dark side of Konoha, the darkness of shinobi would handle it. But he would not complain. Because this was all for Konoha. However, there was still a knot in his heart. If only he had bravely stepped forward during that attack back then, how much better things would have been. Perhaps I would make a better Hokage than Hiruzen. Looking at the village full of laughter, Danzo's heart also calmed down. He sighed, it seems like it's been a long time since I've viewed the village with such feelings. When was the last time? It seemed to be back when Hiruzen begged him to assist in managing the village. From that moment on, he gradually hid in Konoha's shadows, wary of anyone who might harm the village's interests. Thud. Suddenly, while Danzo was lost in thought, he felt someone bump into him. His expression changed as he quickly looked down, only to see a little girl staring at him fearfully. Danzo immediately forced a smile. Are you all right? When entering the village, the root shinobi had disappeared. Like him, they could only hide in the darkness. But today, Danzo suddenly wanted to take a good look at the village. The little girl nodded nervously, stood up, and hurriedly said, I'm sorry. Then she turned and ran away. Seeing this, Danzo touched his face. Was he not as gentle-looking as Hiruzen? Why was it that everyone seemed so afraid of him? Lord Danzo. A white-haired, spiky-haired boy yawned and said, the Hokage wants you to report to him immediately after returning to the village. Do you not realize that your unauthorized actions have brought shame to Konoha? No, wait, the money came from the Shimura clan. But it still humiliated Konoha. Humph. Danzo stiffened his face and said coldly, I understand. Hiruzen Sarutobi didn't know what to say. He took a melancholic puff of smoke and muttered, Danzo, he's changed. Danzo actually smiled? How many years had it been? Hiruzen hadn't seen him smile in ages. Or rather, ever since they became rivals, Danzo had never smiled. What exactly happened? Hiruzen could hardly believe his eyes. From what he saw in the crystal ball, Danzo, that guy who always wore a scowl, actually tried to help a child up. Though he didn't succeed in the end. But he really had changed. He had learned to smile. He had become someone even his old friend barely recognized. What had he experienced in Uzumaki? Now Hiruzen was worried. Were these changes in his old friend for better or worse? Konoha still needed him. Hiruzen watched melancholically as Danzo strolled leisurely through the village, occasionally forcing an ugly smile. But he was the darkness of shinobi. He was Konoha's shadow. What was with that smile like an old chrysanthemum? For some reason, Hiruzen suddenly felt uneasy. Tell Danzo to come here at once. Hiruzen took a drag of his pipe and shouted, immediately. There was still a pile of village matters waiting for him. Get back to work. Danzo is back. Senju Toshiki frowned upon hearing the report from his subordinates. During this period when the old man was away from the village, they had lived quite comfortably. At least no Anbu came to invite them for tea, and even the Hokage hadn't said anything. He had thought the Hokage would no longer hold them accountable. But why did he have to come back? Senju Toshiki muttered regretfully. Why didn't that kid just keep Danzo and Uzumaki? Now, what will happen? Senju Toshiki worriedly looked outside. If they didn't have to leave Konoha, why would they want to? Perhaps the situation won't be so bad after all. Sigh. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his forehead. There was still a pile of matters in Uzumaki that needed his attention, especially since Gato had returned, bringing with him a large group of merchants from other countries. Hearing that they could enjoy 3 years of rent-free business, half-tax rates, and other policy benefits, they came to check it out. Though Uzumaki was a small country with weak military power, and as merchants, their information network was quite extensive. The 5 great shinobi villages coveted this piece of fat meat. Thus, to avoid heavy losses, few merchants came to set up shop. Moreover, Uzumaki didn't have much to offer before. But now things were different. Whether it was the exquisite glass figurines, statues, or the specially made honey. These products were always bestsellers elsewhere. So upon hearing that bulk purchases came with discounts, they hurried over to investigate. After all, the shinobi world was relatively peaceful now. Scientific technology is the primary productive force. Uzumaki Jun sighed as he read the report submitted by Gato. But Uzumaki still has too few specialties, whether in food or other goods. High quality and low price were the best ways to capture the market now, especially since the shinobi world's market was still vast. But what should we introduce this time? Uzumaki Jun rubbed his temples in frustration. This time, chakra stoves and chakra batteries could be included in the trade, but the elders needed to set up anti-theft seals first. If someone tried to forcibly dismantle them, the products would self-destruct. Uzumaki Jun knew such things couldn't be kept secret for long. Though they had some technical complexity, it wasn't high. So delaying it for 3 to 5 years would be enough. That time would allow Uzumaki to pull ahead. Clothing, food, shelter, transportation. Clothing, food, shelter, transportation. Uzumaki Jun suddenly had an idea. The textile technology also needs an upgrade. Currently, most fabrics in the shinobi world were hand-woven. If Uzumaki could mass-produce textiles. Tisk tisk. Just as Uzumaki Jun was about to exchange for textile technology. You're here. Suddenly, he noticed a figure emerging from the ground. His heart filled with emotion. Finally here. It had been so long. Chapter 128, Are you jealous of me? Uzumaki Jun looked at Zetsu slowly floating up, feeling filled with emotion inside. It had been so long since he last saw Zetsu. Ever since the last organization team building event, this Zetsu seemed to have been avoiding him the whole time. Was he afraid Jun would kill him? How was that possible? No matter what, having someone take the blame for Uzumaki during this period was not easy. Even more so for an entire organization. Even though this organization was crudely created by him, on the surface it only had him and 10,000 white weaklings. And because Boss Madara had physical conditions preventing strenuous activity, Uzumaki Jun believed this organization would gradually grow stronger. After all, the number one filial son in the shinobi world was still waiting to save his mother. How is that Hiriko doing? Uzumaki Jun asked. Has he defected yet? No. Zetsu shook his head. He seems to be doing quite well in Konoha. Why do you think he would defect? Ah, you wouldn't understand. Uzumaki Jun sighed and shook his head. Geniuses are not tolerated by the world. So what are you saying? That geniuses will defect? Zetsu always felt this kid in front of him could become a cage at such a young age because the brains of geniuses all have problems. Look at Hashirama, look at Madara, cough, better not say too much. And he couldn't see anything special about that short, somewhat good-looking Hiriko being a genius. There was nothing remarkable about him at all. By the way, what exactly did Konoha's Danzo go through with you? Zetsu asked. This time, from the reports sent back by the white Zetsu monitoring Konoha, he heard something strange. A mentally twisted person actually became cheerful. This was simply too unbelievable. After spying on the shinobi world for over 1,000 years, he had seen countless people with psychological issues. But never had he seen someone like this. Who would smile for no reason? It was disgusting. Perhaps he was influenced by freedom, democracy. Uzumaki Jun sighed regretfully. He didn't care how Danzo changed. Even if Danzo changed genders, it had nothing to do with Uzumaki. That old man only knew how to scheme behind the scenes. As for personally coming to kill Jun like he did Nagato in the anime, Uzumaki Jun would crush him instantly. It seemed Hiriko would defect not long after the Second Shinobi World War started. Probably after seeing his good friends all become tall, rich and handsome, or white, rich, and beautiful, with reputations spreading across the shinobi world, while he remained short, ugly and poor. That's why he wanted to mutate. But it will still take a few more years. The shinobi world was really lacking in technical talent. By the way, Lord Madara wants to meet you. Zetsu decided to finish asking questions quickly and leave. This was too mentally exhausting. He couldn't get any answers. Boss Madara wants to meet an outstanding employee. Uzumaki Jun was stunned upon hearing Zetsu's words. Why would he want to meet for no reason? Was it because Jun used Madara's likeness without authorization? But he wore a mask. And his name was Uchiha Shin, not Madara. Zetsu still decided to ignore his nonsense. Prepare quickly. I'll take you to see Lord Madara. Uzumaki Jun frowned in thought. He didn't know what would happen meeting Madara now. But since he decided to work under Boss Madara, meeting him was necessary. And Boss Madara was already old. Jun wasn't necessarily afraid. Fine. Uzumaki Jun nodded. But what is it? Hearing Jun agree, Zetsu inwardly sighed in relief. Ever since last time when he reported to Lord Madara about the situation and mentioned this Uzumaki kid was definitely not just an ordinary cage level, Madara had become very curious about this underage brat. He was really worried this kid would refuse and kill him. But what else did this kid want now? Zetsu frowned at Uzumaki Jun. Anything else? Any promotions or raises? Uzumaki Jun looked at Zetsu expectantly. This street is Uzushiagakure's future commercial district. Gato pointed at the somewhat deserted street ahead. Don't be fooled by how empty it looks now. In the future, it will definitely become Uzushiagakure's economic center. But a merchant hesitated before sighing. This place is really too deserted. They were merchants. Having a consumer base was absolutely necessary no matter what. But looking at the current situation, it didn't seem like there were many people. There are fewer people now. Gato smiled, unbothered. Everyone is at work right now. Oh, looking at the time, they should be getting off work soon. Then this place will become lively. Yet everyone looked at Gato with disbelief. After all, they were all merchants. To attract and retain customers, was there anything they hadn't done? And this street didn't sell anything. Why would people come? Don't doubt it. Gato shook his head and smiled. Let's go have lunch first. Otherwise there won't be any seats left later. Oh yes. Since we're here, you must try Uzushiagakure's cuisine. He pointed at the Uzushiagakure ramen shop. This way. Cave. This should be where Boss Madara was retiring. Wait here. I'll go ask Lord Madara first. After bringing Uzumaki Jun here, Zetsu said indifferently. Don't wander around. Especially, don't leave any space-time ninjutsu seals here. This kid was capable of anything. He had to be careful. Otherwise he wouldn't even know how he got tricked. Got it. Uzumaki Jun didn't mind Zetsu's tone. After hiding for over 1,000 years, it was understandable to have some social anxiety, always being suspicious. But as an outstanding youth, no, child nurtured by socialism, Uzumaki Jun felt he must be considerate. Toby! Zetsu shouted. Come keep an eye on him. Hey! Suddenly, a white figure with a spiral single eye emerged halfway from the ground. If he causes trouble, I can't stop him at all. Toby looked at Zetsu suspiciously. You're not jealous that Lord Madara favors me in trying to use this kid to kill me, are you? But shut up! Zetsu said flatly and left without another word. He still didn't know how this joker came to be. What a headache! Uzumaki Jun also ignored Zetsu. Instead, he circled Toby with great interest, stroking his chin. This must be the white Zetsu with an independent personality. You, what do you want? Toby crossed his arms over his chest, looking wary at Uzumaki Jun. I belong to Lord Madara, you know. This joker. Uzumaki Jun's forehead twitched as he looked helplessly at Toby. Can you come out fully? Only half his body was showing. It was uncomfortable to look at. And I heard you can increase body, no, attributes. Chapter 129, I entrust my eyes to you. Uzumaki Jun felt a bit regretful. He had originally planned to invite Toby to join him. After all, he was still too young. If he had the Toby skin to enhance his appearance, attributes, then role-playing would surely be more convincing. But this spiral Toby refused, saying he was a pet raised by Lord Madara and would not casually leave with others. If Jun wanted him to go out, he would need Lord Madara's permission. So, Uzumaki Jun decided to go ask the elderly Madara if he needed help making a comeback, to make the ninja world tremble once more under the name of Uchiha Madara. Next time, he would try cosplaying with dual Mangeki. Lord Madara wants you to come in. At this moment, Zetsu walked out and glanced at the spiral white Zetsu sitting cross-legged nearby but said nothing. Was it just his imagination? This kid seemed very interested in Toby. Uzumaki Jun straightened his appearance. It was finally time to meet the boss. A legend of the past ninja world, the future second major villain of the ninja world. Thinking about it, his heart was quite excited. After all, no matter how you looked at it, Madara, aside from being a bit expressionless, stubborn and somewhat foolish, had no other flaws. Moreover, the Uchiha clan were all mostly expressionless. But if Lord Madara were in the original world, he would undoubtedly be a peacemaker. Except the things he did were a bit outrageous. And Uzumaki Jun had no intention of usurping his position, because doing bad things wasn't his style. He was a good person. You're here. Before Uzumaki Jun could even step inside, an aged voice came from within. No doubt about it, this had to be Boss Madara. As he entered, he saw an old man with white hair, wearing a white robe, leaning against a rock with his eyes closed. Uchiha Madara. Cough, cough. You're here, brat of the Uzumaki clan. Uchiha Madara opened his eyes and stared intently at the red-haired boy before him. Indeed. So young. Boss Madara. Uzumaki Jun smiled faintly, completely unfazed by Uchiha Madara's imposing aura. Although the current Uchiha Madara wasn't as decrepit as Obito when he was severely disabled, needing to catch his breath after just a few steps still, he wasn't afraid at all. No matter who it was, he could use the Flying Thunder God technique to fight them evenly. Uchiha Madara paused upon hearing Uzumaki Jun's words, then burst into laughter. Interesting, interesting, truly interesting. I never thought such a person would appear in the ninja world again. Now he finally believed Zetsu's words. This kid before him was truly no ordinary cage. Otherwise, why wouldn't he show even a hint of fear under the aura of someone who once dominated the ninja world? Though he was old now and not as strong as before, back in the day, he and Hashirama were the strongest in the ninja world, unbeatable in battle. Of course, Hashirama was a bit weaker than him. Otherwise, why was he dead while Madara was still alive? I will make you understand. Uchiha Madara's eyes grew distant, as if lost in memories, murmuring, your method is wrong. Only my method can bring true peace to the ninja world. I will personally show you when the time comes. Uzumaki Jun noticed Zetsu's warning glance, telling him not to disturb Lord Madara's reminiscence. He nodded understandingly. He had no intention of interrupting the old man's trip down memory lane, because the elderly loved to reminisce. As an outstanding youth molded by 9 years of compulsory education, he still understood the importance of respecting the elderly and caring for the young. How do you view the current ninja world? Uchiha Madara seemed to snap out of his thoughts and asked Uzumaki Jun indifferently. Uzumaki Jun opened his mouth to speak but was cut off by Madara. This ninja world has long been sick. Uchiha Madara said sorrowfully. Sure enough. Boss Madara was about to start his corporate vision speech, outlining future development plans. This routine was all too familiar to Uzumaki Jun. First, criticize the world, belittle the competition, then boast about how his own company was number one in the industry, how strong its capabilities were, right? Back then, that fool Hashirama. Uchiha Madara fell into memories again. Actually thought retreat and compromise could beg for peace. How laughable. Look at the ninja world now, ha! Hashirama's method doesn't work. Uzumaki Jun listened to the boss's speech while nodding. Hashirama really wasn't the brightest. Back then, he could have unified the ninja world and ended the wars, but instead, he thought, if everyone just gave a little love. And yet, after over 700 episodes of the anime, the second-generation protagonist still hadn't changed anything, continuing to enforce this peace strategy. Uzumaki Jun strongly suspected what exactly was that ninja thing. It seemed that ever since Ashura, this approach had been enforced. And the result? The ninja was extinct, yet the Sage of Six Paths still made his descendants follow this path. Couldn't he have established a proper legal system instead? No matter how you looked at it, that would have been more reliable than everyone giving a little love. Back then, on the Uchiha clan's stone tablet, Uchiha Madara's gaze sharpened as he stared at Uzumaki Jun, speaking solemnly. I saw the truth of the ninja world. Here comes the main topic. Uzumaki Jun immediately perked up upon hearing Uchiha Madara's words. This part was familiar too, where Madara, after unlocking the eternal Manjiki, read the message left by the Sage of Six Paths, younger brother, began doubting the world, and conceived his grand plan to destroy chakra and make everyone live in a virtual world. Only by gathering all nine-tailed beasts, Uchiha Madara said fervently, can true peace be achieved in the ninja world. Will you assist me? Uzumaki Jun listened, stunned. Truly a leader-level figure, this kind of motivational speech was delivered flawlessly, and the promises were realistic enough. If he hadn't known the truth, he probably would have been as emotionally stirred as Nagato, shouting passionately for the sake of the ninja world. Of course. I am willing to contribute my strength to the peace of the ninja world. Uzumaki Jun's eyes shone with excitement as he declared. Wasn't this the reason he had come here? And then? Good, good. Uchiha Madara laughed heartily. In that case. His eyes suddenly shifted. I entrust these eyes to you. The Rinnegan. Konoha. How is the Uchiha clan? Dans asked the root ninja below him coldly. And what's the deal with that Manjiki? There have been no unusual movements, the root ninja replied respectfully. But it seems the Uchiha clan head has restricted his clansmen from going out. Hearing this, Dans frowned. Not long after returning, he had gone to the Hokage building to see his old friend, only to be told. The village was becoming restless again. Because the Senju clan had ignored the Hokage's orders and acted without punishment, the Hokage's authority had been challenged, and some clans were beginning to stir. Of course, this was just a minor issue. The more important matter was the news from Uegakura Manjiki-wearing masked man had appeared in the ninja world. It seemed the Six Paths tools hidden by Uegakura for thousands of years had been stolen, but hadn't Uegakura only been around for less than a century? Could it be a newly awakened Uchiha, or? Dans touched his right eye, frowning in thought. It seems I'll have to visit the Uchiha clan. Chapter 130, Who should this identity be pinned on? I have contributed to the organization, shed blood for it, and yet you still want me to keep working? When Uzumaki Jun heard that Uchiha Madara intended to hand over his eyes to him, he immediately felt a pang of frustration. These eyes? He glanced at the expressionless Zetsu beside him. Uzumaki Jun was certain that if he inherited these eyes, this Zetsu would be scheming ways to kill him so that Madara-sama could be revived, all to save his mother. So. Sorry, Uzumaki Jun shook his head and said, I don't need them. Power that belongs to oneself is the strongest. Uchiha Madara narrowed his eyes upon hearing the red-haired brat's refusal. He stared at him intently before finally. Ha, not bad, Uchiha Madara laughed and nodded. Power that belongs to oneself is indeed the strongest. In that case, these eyes. I will find a suitable person for them. Though he felt some regret that the brat had refused after all, judging by his appearance, his massive chakra reserves, and astonishing vitality, he seemed perfectly suited for the Rinnegan. It was fine. This outcome wasn't entirely bad. He needed someone who would devote their life to his cause, someone who would sacrifice themselves to perform the Rein rebirth technique. Not a disobedient subordinate. If the Rinnegan fell into this brat's hands, the future would become too unpredictable. There was no guarantee he would revive Madara later. So, while he felt some disappointment, the refusal wasn't entirely unwelcome. I'm tired, Madara closed his eyes and said indifferently. I hope you don't forget our goal. To ignite a world war. Only with enough deaths could their plan succeed. I will complete the mission. Uzumaki Jun declared. It seemed Madara wouldn't force him to inherit those eerie eyes anymore. Not only did he have a system through which he could exchange for Manjiki, Rinnegan, Tensegan, or any other bloodline limit, but acquiring those cursed eyes would only lead to trouble. He wouldn't even know how he got screwed over. The only downside was the high cost of exchanging with the system. A basic pair of Manjiki with only enhanced genjutsu aptitude and resistance, and no additional abilities like Kamui, Amaterasu, or Susanoo would cost 10 million reputation points. Each special skill would require at least another 10 million. Even Susanoo was sold piecemeal by the greedy system, initial form, skeletal form, half-bodied form, half-armored form. The only advantage was that if you were rich enough, you could collect all the abilities. But right now, Uzumaki Jun had no intention of exchanging for Sharingan or wood release. Because being too powerful would make him a target. If he suddenly revealed wood release, the 5 great villages would likely attack the next day. Forget about the land of whirlpools being destroyed and him having no attachments left, allowing him to conquer the villages one by one. He was just one person. The land of whirlpools still had many loved ones and cherished people. He couldn't bring himself to abandon them. So, developing the nation's strength was his primary goal. Only with a larger population, where everyone believed in and admired him, could he become stronger. This was a sustainable strategy. If everyone else perished, his own growth would likely stagnate. You can leave on your own, Zetsu said coldly after leading Uzumaki Jun out of Madara's cave. Don't leave any seals here. Uzumaki Jun scoffed but didn't respond. He had originally planned to ask Madara if he could take Toby with him for a few days. He quite liked the little creature. It was amusing, pure white, didn't need to eat or relieve itself, and even boosted his stats. He really liked it. But Madara's Rinnegan had startled him, making him forget such an important matter. Glancing at the carefree Toby playing by himself, he sighed inwardly. It seems he won't belong to me. Then, he teleported away using the Flying Thunder God technique. Achoo! Achoo! Toby suddenly shivered for no reason. He looked around and muttered, "Did I catch a cold? This idiot!" Zetsu beside him face-palmed. They were tools, how could they possibly catch a cold? He said helplessly, "Hurry up and go take care of Madara-sama." "Oh, okay," Toby hopped up and asked curiously, "You're back? Where's that red-haired kid?" "He left," Zetsu frowned. "What do you want?" "Really?" Toby lowered his head in disappointment. "What a shame. I wanted to go out and see the world with him. It's the first time in so many years I've met someone who recognizes my outstanding qualities." Calm down, calm down." Zetsu took a deep breath, reminding himself that this was a mutant, a defective one with a broken brain. There was no point arguing with him. Through gritted teeth, he said, "Get inside now." To plunge the shinobi world into chaos, he couldn't abandon his Uchiha Shin. Moreover, this blame had to be pinned on one of the 5 great villages. Uzumaki Jun stroked his chin, deep in thought. The best candidate was Konoha. They were the most suitable. "It seems I'll have to send Zetsu to scout Konoha," Uzumaki Jun muttered with a frown. "See how the Uchiha clan is doing these days." Likely, neither the Senju nor Uchiha clans would join the land of whirlpools anytime soon. So, to strengthen the land of whirlpools, he needed to recruit more people. Which clan hasn't been noticed yet but could be useful to the land of whirlpools? Uzumaki Jun sighed. Both the land of whirlpools and Uzushiogakure originally had only one clan, the Uzumaki. But recently, the Kamaizuru clan had joined. Heard they were doing quite well selling honey, which wasn't ordinary honey but a special kind that boosted immunity and strengthened the body. Many families bought it to ensure their children didn't fall behind from the start. Especially now, with the land of whirlpools. Having abolished small-scale farming and self-sufficient economies, they had instead launched an industrial revolution. With no exploitative factories, since most factories in the land of whirlpools were state-owned and his own deterrence preventing subordinates from slacking off, the citizens were gradually growing wealthier. A jar or two of honey was well within their budget. I wonder how Gato's mission is progressing. For a nation to prosper, commerce was indispensable. And how was the livestock research going? Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin, frowning. Talented people. Talented individuals were the most crucial right now. Lord Jun. At that moment, an Uzunin entered and reported, 2 suspicious individuals have entered the land of whirlpools. Original characters in the text. Chapter 131, What exactly did he experience in the land of whirlpools? Konoha. Uchiha clan. Danzo walked alone with his hands behind his back towards the Uchiha clan quietly. However, the occasional movements in the shadows showed that there were still ninjas following Danzo. "Go inform the Uchiha clan head," Danzo said expressionlessly, looking at the Uchiha clansmen guarding the gate. "Danzo is here to visit." The 2 Uchiha clansmen looked at Danzo warily. This name was too familiar. Recently many of their clansmen had been taken away for no reason. From the information their clan had received from the Hokage, it was this person called Danzo who took them away for questioning. Could it be? This man with half his face wrapped in bandages, was that Danzo? Wait a moment. One of the Uchiha clansmen frowned at Danzo and said, "I will go inside to ask the clan head." He was no fool. Someone who could forcefully take away Uchiha clansmen without being punished by the Hokage. This Danzo was definitely not an ordinary person. So, it was better not to cause trouble. High-level matters should be left to the clan head. Okay. Danzo frowned slightly. Why did the Uchiha gate guards seem so unfriendly towards him? After all, he had just returned not long ago. And when he left Konoha, apart from the Senju clan, he had not offended any other clans. So what exactly was going on? If it was his old temper, he would have already arranged for people to arrest these disrespectful people for questioning. But must smile, must smile. Danzo chanted silently in his heart, forcing a smile on his face as he said, all right. He must change his current image in Konoha. Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned as he looked at the crystal ball. When Danzo appeared at the Uchiha clan's entrance, the ANBU had already sent word. After all, that one-eyed Mangekyo was still an unknown factor. He was very worried about anything that could harm Konoha. So he had arranged many ANBU to monitor the Uchiha clan's surroundings. But what exactly was going on now? He smiled again? Hiruzen felt like his heart was being pricked by needles. That smile was too ugly, making him extremely uncomfortable. But his old friend seemed to be enjoying it. Now he was really curious about what exactly Danzo had experienced in the land of whirlpools. Why did he feel so uneasy? Sigh. Hiruzen sighed sadly as he took a puff from his pipe. He said to the ANBU captain beside him, send someone to investigate. What exactly did Danzo experience in the land of whirlpools? After all, why was he so at ease with Danzo? Why did he allow Danzo to have so much power? Wasn't it because of his foul temper and terrible reputation? Even if he wanted to rebel, probably few in the village would agree. But what was happening now? Smiling, helping children? What exactly was his old friend trying to do? Hiruzen frowned as he watched Danzo's every move in the crystal ball. He said, investigate Danzo's every action among the Uchiha. Also notify the Elder Council for a meeting. He absolutely would not allow any uncontrollable factors to appear in Konoha. Land of Whirlpools. Uzumaki Jun looked surprised at what his subordinate reported. Two strange people had come to the land of Whirlpools. Wasn't this that legendary Toto's clan? The clan with the ability to control weather. Their emotions like happiness, anger, sadness, and joy could all cause weather changes. Why did they appear in the land of Whirlpools? Did they come to sell weather? Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin as he stood on high ground, frowning while observing. He remembered this strange clan only appeared in the anime during the Fourth War arc. Although in the flashbacks, Toto was revived by Orochimaru when Naruto and the others were still young. But had this clan died out or something? They were rarely seen in the ninja world. Lord Jun, should we expel them? Uzumaki Hibiki frowned at the two strangely dressed people below. One was an adult, the other a child. He remembered Lord Jun saying the land of whirlpools needed stable development now. So in his mind, once uncontrollable factors appeared, they should be expelled. Or else killed. Though cruel, it was all for the land of whirlpools. If he needed to take action, he would not hesitate. As a ninja, some things must be done by them. Uzumaki Jun was stunned looking at Uzumaki Hibiki. Why were people in the ninja world so violent, always wanting to kill others? Probably why the ninja world's population was so small. But their land of whirlpools always treated prisoners well. Wasn't there a labor camp? Just send them for infrastructure work, no need to waste lives. No. Uzumaki Jun shook his head. Have Uzunin follow them. If they don't take any action harmful to the land of whirlpools, leave them be. Also have Uzunin explain the laws of the land of whirlpools to them, so they don't break any. Yes. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded and left to arrange the mission. He could tell. Lord Jun seemed interested in these two people, wanting them to stay in the land of whirlpools. I wonder if off-season vegetables sell well in the ninja world. Uzumaki Jun ignored Uzumaki Hibiki leaving as he rubbed his chin murmuring. The ability to control weather. This was truly a great ability. He wasn't worried about whether this clan would stay in the land of whirlpools. Because a clan that needed to wander selling weather must not have good living conditions. If they saw the land of whirlpools didn't discriminate and had money to earn, they would surely stay to settle down. Uzumaki Jun didn't plan to personally ask them to stay either. After all, voluntarily staying was different from being invited to stay. Let them wander for 2 days first, then see the situation later. Right now the land of whirlpools had many matters to handle. Whether currency circulation or increasing industries, these were all necessities now. After all, the land of whirlpools industries were still very few. Uzumaki Jun wanted to build it into an export powerhouse. Then the technology and products must be better than other nations, while prices must be reasonable. Otherwise, if the citizens stopped consuming and merchants stopped coming to trade, the economy would become stagnant. Then handling it would be troublesome. Looks like besides basic necessities, spiritual civilization must also be developed. Uzumaki Jun thought helplessly. People will have problems if idle. They must feel fulfilled working and happy resting or on holidays. Such a headache. Just as Uzumaki Jun agonized over the land of whirlpool's future development, Lord Jun, the elder, has sent word. Uzumaki Hibiki returned after arranging the mission, reporting respectfully. He requests your personal presence. Chapter 132, This pot, the dark will bear it. What are you doing here? The Uchiha clan leader frowned as he looked at the one-eyed man sitting cross-legged opposite him. He said lightly, our Uchiha clan hasn't done anything bad recently. You should know that. A trace of mockery appeared at the corner of his mouth. Recently, so many Uchiha clansmen had been arrested for questioning. Now this sudden appearance before the Uchiha clan, what exactly did he want to do? Was there still something he needed to know? But the Uchiha clan leader himself didn't even know who that one-eyed Mangekyo user was. You keep arresting people like this. It's very annoying. As the leader of the Uchiha clan, he couldn't even protect his clansmen's privacy. Recently, there had been many complaints about him from below. However, hey! Danzo was completely confused. He had only returned a few days ago and hadn't even had time to investigate anything yet. Why did the Uchiha clansman think he already knew? What exactly was going on? What exactly do you want to say? He had come here in good faith, intending to personally ask the Uchiha clan what was going on. Why was everyone giving him attitude? Didn't he, as Konoha's dark will and second-in-command, deserve any respect? Humph, Lord Danzo actually asks me what I mean. The Uchiha clan leader sneered. After arresting so many Uchiha clansmen recently, haven't you found out anything? Arrested so many people? Danzo was inwardly shocked. How could he not know about this? He had just returned to Konoha. How could Uchiha clansmen have been arrested? Did his subordinates do it? To silently act for Konoha's peace? But that was impossible. All root members had been brainwashed by him. Without his orders, they wouldn't act recklessly. Suddenly, Danzo seemed to realize something. He nodded lightly and said, arresting some unimportant people wouldn't reveal anything. So now, this old man has come to personally ask the Uchiha clan leader. The one who could act in his name. Danzo knew who it was. So this pot. For Konoha's peace, he, the Dark Will, would bear it. Humph. The Uchiha clan leader sneered. You should already know everything you need from your interrogations. As for anything else, I don't know either. Though his expression was calm, inwardly he was bitter. He also wanted to know who that Mangekyo user was. But as the Uchiha clan leader, he was completely clueless. He had no idea how the Mangekyo was awakened, only that it was extremely difficult. And ever since Lord Madara died, the Uchiha clan hadn't awakened the Mangekyo. Even the pro-Hokage faction's former Uchiha genius, Uchiha Kagami, might have had the potential, but he had died long ago. How he died was still unknown to the Uchiha clan to this day. What a headache! The Uchiha clan leader sighed inwardly. He also wished someone in the Uchiha clan would awaken the Mangekyo. If that happened, perhaps the Uchiha could re-enter Konoha's upper echelons. In that case, Danzo frowned at the Uchiha clan leader's words. He wasn't used to such polite questioning. It felt unfamiliar. Normally, he would just point at someone and shout, arrest them. His subordinates would immediately act, and after a streamlined process, the interrogation results would be reported to him. But now, was this how questioning worked? Danzo sighed inwardly and muttered, it seems this old man isn't suited for this kind of questioning. He was truly only fit to silently protect Konoha from the shadows. So, Lord Danzo, why exactly have you come here? The Uchiha clan leader asked with a frown. As one of Konoha's two great clans, the Uchiha still had their pride. If he wanted to investigate, he could have done it secretly like last time. As long as the clansmen were unharmed, it would be fine. But why appear before the Uchiha clan so openly this time? What was the purpose? To publicly slap the Uchiha in the face? If that was the case, he would let them see that the Uchiha were not to be trifled with. However, don't be nervous, Danzo took a sip of tea and said lightly. This visit isn't about the Mangekyo. Rather, Toto, this place looks pretty good, doesn't it? A man around 30 years old rubbed the head of a child about 6 years old and said with a smile. It seems we can make a lot of money today. Then you'll have enough for your treatment. Toto nodded with wide eyes, then said dejectedly, will I really get better? He had been sickly for a long time. Because of his condition, he couldn't exercise, so he couldn't grow stronger no matter how hard he tried. After spending so much money all this time, still, he never got better. In fact, his health kept worsening. He had fallen ill again these past few days. Toto looked longingly at the children running around happily playing nearby. He wanted to be like that too. You'll get better, the middle-aged man held Toto's small hand and said. I promised your father I'd take good care of you. Uncle, do you think I'll see Mom and Dad after I die? Toto looked up at the uncle who had been wandering with him and taking care of him all this time. Because of him, his uncle had never married. Maybe that wouldn't be so bad either, Toto lowered his head guiltily. Don't think too much, the middle-aged man paused, then smiled. Today, we still have to work hard to earn money. You'll definitely get better. Hearing this, Toto smiled. Then suddenly, it's snowing. A child nearby who had been playing shouted in surprise upon seeing the sudden snowfall. What's going on? Is winter here? Idiot, an older child knocked him on the head. Winter's already over. Don't you see? It's only snowing in this spot. As for why the elder had urgently summoned him to the research lab, Uzumaki Jun was very curious. It was likely that some major progress had been made in a certain technological field. And it must have been very important, otherwise the elders wouldn't have called him over. Elders, Uzumaki Jun entered the research lab and saw the elders excitedly gathered around a mechanical glove. This made him even more curious. What was it? He glanced at the unremarkable mechanical glove. Was this their latest research achievement? But what exactly was it? It's so ugly. Uzumaki Jun didn't know how to describe the glove. It looked like a simple metal contraption, just an ordinary glove assembled from metal pieces without any mechanical aesthetic. And this metal? It felt somewhat familiar. Uzumaki Jun stared at the mechanical glove with confusion. Chapter 133, For the Peace of the Shinobi World. Scientific Ninja Tools. I never expected the elders to actually succeed in making them. It must be because of the ninjutsu engraving technique that they managed to pull it off. Although they are not as compact and refined as those in Naruto, nor as powerful, still. No matter what, this represents a huge leap forward in the scientific research capabilities of the land of whirlpools. This metal. Uzumaki Jun touched the strange glove. Isn't this gold dust? He remembered that all the gold dust in the land of whirlpools was created using his Kekii Genkai, and it was all used to make axes and saws. Did they melt all of them down? Correct. The elder nodded. Among metals, only gold dust can withstand high-speed chakra flow and ninjutsu conversion. So we melted some farming tools to conduct experiments. Uzumaki Jun frowned and asked, how much gold dust is needed to make one glove? If the cost is too high, its value would be halved. After all, weapons that cannot be mass-produced have very limited use for the land of whirlpools in its current state. This requires about 3 gold dust axes to be melted down. The elder sighed. The chakra capacity cannot be too small, otherwise the power would be too weak. As expected. This glove actually requires so much gold dust. Even if I worked non-stop to produce gold dust, it still wouldn't be enough. Uzumaki Jun looked at the glove regretfully and said, is there no other way? For example, using other metals? Or synthesizing a new metal, like special steel on Earth? There is a way. The elder nodded. We can use gold dust only for the engraved ninjutsu patterns and use ordinary metal for the rest. If that's the case. Uzumaki Jun's eyes lit up. Why not do it that way? This method would reduce gold dust usage, allowing the land of whirlpools to produce a large batch of scientific ninja tools in a short time. But doing so would weaken the ninjutsu's power. The elder shook his head. And the lifespan would be shorter. How powerful would it be? Uzumaki Jun asked with a frown. And the lifespan? Roughly weaker than a C-rank ninjutsu. The elder sighed. As for lifespan, if used continuously without breaks, it might only last 10 times before breaking. In that case, its usefulness is still quite limited. After all, C-rank ninjutsu is not like other techniques. With some effort and time, most people can master them. Of course, those who cannot use ninjutsu, like taijutsu specialists, are exceptions. And this is even weaker than a C-rank ninjutsu. The only advantage is that ordinary people can use it. But even then, it would be a waste, because an ordinary person wielding it still wouldn't stand a chance against a genin. But it can be activated instantly. The elder seemed to notice Uzumaki Jun's disappointment and added, it allows ordinary people to instantly activate ninjutsu. Instant activation. Hearing this, Uzumaki Jun suddenly had an idea. Can the power be weakened even further? Uzumaki Jun asked. If possible, his plan might just work. Even weaker. The elder frowned. It is possible, but what would you use it for? Already weaker than a C-rank ninjutsu, and now even more? What's the point? Might as well just use explosive tags. Hat. Uzumaki Jun smiled mysteriously. Create ninjutsu cards. Insert the desired ninjutsu card into the glove. That way, users can buy whatever ninjutsu cards they need, and the cards can be made disposable. The ability to instantly activate ninjutsu would significantly increase the value of these tools. Also, prevent manual chakra input. Users must purchase chakra batteries exclusively from the land of whirlpools. Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes as he stared at the glove. Strengthen the security measures. And if possible, add a restriction. When encountering a specially designed barrier, the tool will be forcibly disabled. What sells best in this world? Weapons, of course. Rumor has it that the neighboring village of artisans sells ninja tools like hotcakes. So, if war breaks out, the land of whirlpools can secretly engage in arms trafficking. After all, the emergence of scientific ninja tools signifies the decline of shinobi status. So this matter must not be leaked. And only when the 5 great shinobi villages are balanced in power can the land of whirlpools survive in the cracks. During the Second Shinobi World War, Konoha was the only one shining brightly. That won't do. For the peace of the shinobi world, as the first Hokage once said. Only when power is balanced can everyone coexist peacefully. So, let's do it. This is all for the peace of the shinobi world. Konoha should understand. I, Uzumaki Jun, as an inheritor of a harmonious society, will absolutely uphold Lord Hashirama's ideals. It seems the Akatsuki will become an international arms dealer. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin and muttered. We'll need good marketing. Give it a high-end name. Let's call it the Infinite Glove. What does this Danzo want? The Uchiha clan leader frowned as he watched the departing figure. Danzo didn't come to ask about the Manjiki Sharingan but instead asked if the Uchiha wanted to re-enter Konoha's high-ranking leadership. Is that even a question? Of course they do. Back then, that scheming Tobirama assigned the Uchiha to be the police force. Thinking they were being entrusted with an important task, they eagerly accepted the appointment, ready to shed blood for Konoha's safety. But in the end, they gradually drifted away from the center of power, and despite enforcing the law strictly, they unknowingly made more and more enemies, both among civilians and other clans. Those rules were set by the higher UPS, yet now that the police force enforces them strictly, they get blamed. If no one was behind the scenes smearing the Uchiha's reputation, he wouldn't believe it. Moreover, due to restrictions on leaving the village, very few Uchiha have awakened the Sharingan in recent years. The higher UPS are afraid of the Uchiha awakening the Manjiki again. But what exactly is going on? The Uchiha clan leader was filled with doubt. First, Danzo arrests Uchiha clansmen. Now, he asks if the Uchiha want to return to power. Is there some conspiracy? Thinking this, the Uchiha clan leader felt a shadow of conspiracy looming over his clan. He didn't know. What should the Uchiha do? He murmured gloomily. Perhaps I should consult the clan elders. The Uchiha must decide their path. Chapter 134, For the Peace of the Shinobi World, 2. It seems that relying on scientific ninja tools to popularize chakra and reduce the role of shinobi is not feasible after all. While scientific ninja tools can diminish the class divide between civilians and shinobi, the cost is still too high. If more powerful and easier to use scientific ninja tools were truly developed, Uzumaki Jun would not dare to let the citizens of Uzushiagakuer use them. Moreover, Uzumaki Jun does not want to turn Uzushiagakuer into a nation where every citizen is a soldier. His main goal is to liberate shinobi from being killing machines. He wants them to participate in social development and construction. But this requires ordinary people to also be able to extract chakra, no matter how little, as long as they can extract it. This would, to some extent, reduce the mystique of shinobi and make ordinary people less afraid of them. Only then can the class issue between shinobi and civilians truly be resolved, and the gap between them be bridged. Therefore, the first step must be to enrich the citizens of Uzushiagakuer. Only then will they have the ability to eat their fill and the means to let their children become shinobi. Not everyone needs to become a strong fighter. They just need to become familiar with the generation and application of chakra. After that, military ninjutsu and civilian ninjutsu can be separated. But for now, in order for Uzushiagakuer to survive and develop in this turbulent world, strength is absolutely necessary. This strength does not refer to his own personal power, but the comprehensive national power of Uzushiagakuer. However, there are still some people in the shinobi world who cannot extract chakra due to innate reasons. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin and murmured. This is not something that can be easily changed by human effort. After all, the shinobi world is one that values talent and bloodline. He wondered if Hirako could develop a potion that would allow ordinary people to extract chakra. As long as they could reach genin level, that would be enough. It doesn't need to be as extreme as the Chimera technique. This involves genetics. Probably only Tobirama, Orochimaru, Hirako, and Kabuto in the shinobi world would understand this. They are all great figures who have advanced the scientific development of the shinobi world. On Earth, they would undoubtedly win the Nobel Prize in biology or medicine. They are talents who have made significant contributions to the future development of humanity. But in the shinobi world, aside from the second Hokage, who died early, the others all became missing nin. Although only one short cross-dresser died, the others were inexplicably redeemed and lived happily ever after. But the shinobi world simply does not value these technical talents. When will Hirako defect? Right now, Uzumaki Jun is desperately craving talent. Not to mention anything else, the current Uzushiagakuer simply lacks enough clans. There isn't even a clan proficient in genjutsu. The strong clans mostly already have affiliations. The remaining ones are the Shinoite clan, the Iberi clan, the Tsuchigumo clan, and the Fuma clan. So Orochimaru is quite remarkable. He abducts children and still makes them grateful. That must be a talent. The Iberi clan should be easy to deal with. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin and murmured. As long as their Kekii Genkai issue is resolved, they will obediently comply. As for the Shinoite clan, if the Uchiha clan is to be accepted later, these two clans will probably end up fighting. It seems necessary to establish the authority of the law and provide them with ideological and moral education. Uzumaki Jun said with a headache. At least make them restrain themselves and channel all conflicts in a beneficial direction. So, I've decided. Uzumaki Jun said firmly. It's time to accept these two clans. Then Uzushiagakuer will have two more Kekii Genkai clans. As for the other two clans, they haven't declined yet in this era, so recruiting them will probably be difficult. In other words, any clan that gets involved with Konoha is basically doomed. Just like in the original story, the Senju, Uchiha, Uzumaki, Tsuchigumo. To avoid ruin, either your clan must have a girl who becomes the Hokage's wife, or you must lead the entire clan to become a pro-Hokage faction like the Inoshika Ch. Otherwise, you can only weaken your clan's power yourself. At this moment, when do you plan to proceed? Zetsu emerged from the ground again. Our mission is extremely important. Mission? Uzumaki Jun shook his head helplessly. He wants to be a good person. In the past, he had no choice. But now, why does someone always have to force him? It's not time yet. After thinking for a moment, he said. When will it be time? Zetsu frowned and asked. Madara-sama has ordered us to instigate a war in the shinobi world. Ah. Uzumaki Jun's eyes rolled. How about year 32? That's a good year. Suitable for our organization to hold another team-building event. You need to pick an auspicious date to start a war? Are you kidding me? Zetsu looked at Uzumaki Jun speechlessly and said helplessly, fine, do as you wish. For now, they can only listen to this kid, after all, his strength is truly formidable. By the way, Zetsu suddenly remembered something. I came to find you because there's something I need to tell you. What is it? Konoha. Lady Mito. Sarutobi Hiruzen respectfully looked at Uzumaki Mito. After the deaths of Lord Hashirama and Lord Tobirama, it was this woman who shouldered Konoha's burden. It's Hiruzen. Mito raised her head and looked at Hiruzen with a smile. What brings you here? It's about. Hiruzen hesitated but decided to speak. The issue of the Jinchuriki seal. After Dan secretly conducted experiments, they found that while the new sealing technique was indeed better than the previous one, not a single attempt had succeeded. Although there are many refugees now, even if they don't use villagers, there are plenty outside. But the continuous failures made him, the Hokage, feel uneasy. Some clans in the village have begun to complain, accusing Dan-sama of conducting human experiments, which violates shinobi world regulations. But what is the Nine Tails? It is the guarantee of Konoha's safety. It is a nuclear weapon. To achieve peace, this is absolutely necessary. Yet, up to now, they still haven't succeeded. Mito fell silent. It seems the Jinchuriki seal has encountered problems. She knew the sealing technique had major flaws. Becoming a Jinchuriki is not that simple. But the Uzumaki clan has clearly stated they will not let their clansmen become Konoha's Jinchuriki again. If forced, Konoha might end up fighting Uzushiagakuer. This is something she does not want to see. No matter how strong that kid is, facing Konoha, the leader of the 5 great shinobi villages, Uzushiagakuer will inevitably be destroyed. So, what do you intend to do? Mito asked hesitantly. But in her heart, she hopes the village founded by Hashirama can grow strong enough to realize his dream. The subordinates have proposed a solution. Hiruzen lowered his head respectfully. But it requires a bit of blood. Uzumaki Mito's pupils dilated upon hearing Hiruzen's words. You want to do? This is all for Konoha. Hiruzen raised his head and looked at Mito with clear eyes. For the peace of Konoha, for the peace of the shinobi world, we must do this. Unless the Uzumaki clan is destroyed, Konoha has no other choice. Chapter 135, What have I done all this for? After hearing Zetsu's words, Uzumaki Jun was completely stunned. He had worked so hard, running around every day, saving the ninja world from fire and water. What had it all been for? Wasn't it for the peace of the ninja world? For the strength of Uzushiagakuer? Yet in the end, the Uchiha had actually gone to cooperate with Danzo? Uzumaki Jun had never expected this. Danzo had stayed in Uzushiagakuer for such a short time, yet his entire mindset had changed. Originally, hadn't he distrusted the Uchiha clan and always wanted to suppress them? What was going on? Instead of opposing the Hokage after returning to the village, he had gone to seek cooperation with the Uchiha? Damn it! Uzumaki Jun didn't know what to say. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have let Danzo stay in Uzushiagakuer, wouldn't have let him read so many books. Then Danzo wouldn't have come up with so many ideas, right? Truly, the best way to change a person is to make them read more books. Now things were a mess. What should be done about the Uchiha? They were wholeheartedly trying to return to the center of power in Konoha. Now that Danzo had given them such an opportunity, how could they not seize it? But has Danzo really changed? Uzumaki Jun frowned and muttered. After all, Danzo, that old schemer, didn't need allies, he only needed tools. Just look at how Root was trained. They were basically stripped of individual thought, existing only as swords in Danzo's hands. Would the Uchiha clan agree? Uzumaki Jun felt a headache coming on. Why couldn't Danzo just fight with Hiruzen Sarutobi for the position of Hokage? Why did he have to go and recruit the Uchiha? Wasn't he supposed to exterminate the Uchiha? Wasn't he supposed to collect their Sharingan? Didn't he want the Manjiki? Now, Uzumaki Jun didn't know if the Uchiha and Danzo's collusion would end up exposing him. After all, he had given specially made kunao to both the Senju and Uchiha clans. Have the Uchiha agreed yet? Uzumaki Jun frowned and asked the gleeful Zetsu in front of him. This Zetsu really? They were supposed to be on the same side, part of the same organization. What was with this schadenfreude? Were they not afraid the boss would fail and the company would go bankrupt? They haven't agreed yet, but... Zetsu nodded. The Uchiha seemed to be leaning toward acceptance. Of course. Uzumaki Jun was speechless. It seemed he needed to come up with a plan. Otherwise, the bloodline limit he had earmarked for Uzushiagakure would be snatched away. But what should he do now? Beg the Uchiha to join? Even if the Uchiha agreed, Uzushiagakure couldn't afford to lose face like that. Ah, it's time for our organization to shake the ninja world once again. Uzumaki Jun sighed, stroking his chin as he looked at Zetsu. This kid was planning something again? Immediately, Zetsu looked at Uzumaki Jun warily. What do you want to do? Complete the mission assigned to us by the organization. Uzushiagakure. Lord Uzunin, Yutei looked at the Uzunin leading the way, his heart filled with panic. Hadn't they just come to Uzushiagakure to earn some extra money? Why had a ninja suddenly appeared before them, kindly offering to show them around Uzushiagakure? What was going on? Were the ninja of Uzushiagakure really this hospitable? Otherwise, why would they bother with two poor nobodies like them? Didn't they have missions to complete or barbecues to grill? If not, Yutei felt they might have gotten into big trouble. They needed to find a good burial spot fast. They still didn't even know what they had done wrong. He had only heard someone say that Uzushiagakure was very wealthy and its people were kind, so he had come to try his luck and earn money to treat Toto's illness. How had things turned out like this? Toto seemed to sense his uncle's unease and nervously grabbed his right hand, holding on tightly. The Uzunin suddenly looked up and muttered, "Why is it raining?" Just now, the weather had been clear and sunny. How had it suddenly started raining for no reason? No, wait, it seemed to be raining only in this small area. The Uzunin seemed to remember something and turned to Yutei and Toto with a smile. Don't be afraid. I won't do anything to you. Uzumaki Kita, currently Deputy Director of Uzushiagakure's Security Department. Uzumaki Kita looked at Yutei. Because of your abilities, the higher UPS were concerned, so they assigned me to watch over you. Of course, you can do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't violate Uzushiagakure's laws or cause trouble for the villagers. Generally, there won't be any issues. I can also act as your guide in Uzushiagakure. Uzumaki Kita smiled, but inwardly, he was cursing. After training for so many days, he had planned to rest today and spend time with Yuzu. Yet the higher UPS had suddenly dropped an order on him, even assigning him as a temporary deputy director of the security department. There was no director, and no subordinates, just a temporary position. Looking at the two ragged men in front of him, he sighed inwardly. Why was it so hard to get a day off? But since the order had come down, he could only carry it out seriously. Then, Yutei didn't know what to say. He looked at Uzumaki Kita suspiciously, his heart full of disbelief. Were the ninja of Uzushiagakure really this friendly? They were just two ordinary people selling weather, after all. What are Uzushiagakure's laws? Yutei now only wanted to see the laws of Uzushiagakure, hoping that selling weather wasn't illegal. Ah, right. Uzumaki Kita patted his head. Here. He took out a small booklet. Basically, just don't violate the explicitly prohibited things listed inside. Yutei carefully took the booklet. If we commit a crime, will we? His eyes were full of worry as he looked at the ninja. Would they be executed? Oh, if it's a minor offense, you'll just be fined or made to sweep the streets, Uzumaki Kita said with a smile, knowing what they were worried about. For serious crimes, you'll just undergo labor reform. Don't worry. Uzushiagakure doesn't kill civilians indiscriminately. Everyone here is protected by Uzushiagakure's laws. If that's the case. Hearing the ninja's words, Yutei relaxed a little. If all of this was true, then Uzushiagakure might really be a good place. But right now, they still didn't know if any of this was real or not. Yutei and Toto looked at the small booklet in their hands titled The Constitution of Uzushiagakure. Perhaps it was real? Lord Kita, would you like some water? Suddenly, an old man called out to Uzumaki Kita, holding up a water bottle. It's quite hot. Have some water to quench your thirst. No, thank you, uncle, Uzumaki Kita shook his head. I'm on official business. I can't trouble you. Haha. The old man chuckled. It's just a sip of water. It won't be a problem. I just saw that brat Shij. His tone turned nostalgic. I told him, if you can't become a ninja, then so be it. Why be so stubborn? Is being an ordinary person so bad? He had to go and get himself hurt. That idiot. Uzumaki Kita cursed inwardly when the old man mentioned Shij. I tried to persuade him too. But I really can't drink water right now. I'm on duty. Then how about an apple? The old man took out an apple. This is a new fruit that just appeared in the commercial district. They say it's from another country. It's good for your health. Here, take it. No, no. Kita quickly refused. This is a matter of principle. Do you want me to be taken in for interrogation? Don't scare this old man. The uncle wasn't bothered and laughed. It's just an apple. If they question you, come find me. I'll vouch for you. Take it. Forget it, forget it. You can't make me commit a disciplinary violation. Kita smiled wryly. I'll just have some water. No apples. Principles can't be broken. This was explicitly written in the rules. Chapter 136, 129, Vermin. Uzunin sir. Yutei glanced at Toto who was happily holding an apple, speaking carefully, this. Is this against the law? You have to understand even the Uzunin did not dare to take these things. That old man earlier seemed to be just an ordinary person. Could he be some hidden big shot? Haha, it's fine. Kita shook his head and said with a smile, it's just that uncle's kind intention. The people here are all very warm. Then we. Yutei looked at Kita, then at the ordinary people farming around them. It seemed wherever they went, someone would raise their head to greet the Uzunin. Don't they fear ninjas at all? Ninjas are all ruthless killers. If you offend a ninja even slightly, your head might roll. But here. Yutei looked down at the notebook in his hand and suddenly made a decision, maybe this place isn't bad. By the way, I haven't asked where you want to go. Uzumaki Kita asked, you can tell me, I can take you there. Looking at Toto beside him who was hugging the apple, reluctant to eat it, he smiled, I have a brother around your age, just a bit slow. Uzumaki Kita lifted his head melancholically, even though you can live without becoming a ninja now, why is he so obsessed with becoming one? Although medical fees are free, nutrition costs and training equipment are still huge expenses. Especially last time when he ate something wrong and was in pain all night. In the end, I had to take him to the hospital. That was another huge expense. Oh right, for some reason, Shij hasn't returned to the orphanage recently. He seems afraid to go back. Now everyone thinks I adopted Shij, but I can barely support myself. Your brother must be very happy living in this country. Yutei suddenly said emotionally. After wandering through so many countries, this was the first time he saw civilians and ninjas coexisting peacefully. And those smiles. They were definitely genuine. This country. Truly remarkable. Haha. Uzumaki Kita was stunned by Yutei's words, then laughed loudly, him? He's only been here for less than half a year. I still remember when he first came to Uzushiagakuer. Uzumaki Kita seemed lost in memories, a smile on his lips, Uzushiagakuer has changed so much now, much better than before. It's all because an incredible person appeared in Uzushiagakuer, a great leader. That's why Uzushiagakuer has become what it is now, and it will be even better in the future. Hearing Uzumaki Kita's words, Yutei and Toto fell into deep thought. They understood what the ninja world was like now. Peace had just begun not long ago, but the war had killed so many people. Toto's parents died in the war. If not for their luck, they would have. And that child named Shij could live so happily. How enviable! Free medical care, free food, and shelter. For people like them who experienced war, this was practically heaven. He must be an incredible person. Toto said with admiration, a great man, like a god, bringing us peace and happiness. Uzumaki Kita was stunned, then laughed, yes, he is an incredible person. Truly incredible. Yutei thought for a moment, then finally decided, if Toto and I want to join. What do you want to do? Zetsu asked warily, staring at Uzumaki Jun. He did not believe a single word this brat said. All that nonsense about working for the peace of the ninja world and the happiness of humanity. He did not believe any of it. Did his 1,000 years of undercover work in the ninja world count for nothing? This brat was not as naive or childish as he appeared. Don't worry. Uzumaki Jun smiled, I'm just carrying out the mission assigned to us by Boss Madara. You know I would never act against our organization's orders. No, you better explain clearly. Zetsu remained unmoved, explain everything properly. Otherwise, I won't agree. Last time you promised not to impersonate Lord Madara, but you still had fun pretending, didn't you? I don't believe a word you say, you little brat. You're downright wicked. You're not going. Uzumaki Jun sighed regretfully, fine. Having one more or one less doesn't matter anyway. At most, I'll use a shadow clone to film it myself. You're asking me to come just to film for you? Zetsu was speechless. The child of the rabbit goddess, the mother of chakra, the younger brother of the sage of six paths, has no dignity? You invited me just for this? These words cut deep. What exactly do you want to do? Zetsu asked in a low voice. I absolutely will not agree to anything harmful to Lord Madara. However, Uzumaki Jun put on his cosplay outfit, donned the spiral mask, and said flatly, please call me Lord Shin. Damn you! Zetsu was at a loss for words. Could this brat even understand human language? Every time I asked the key question, he would change the subject. If not for the fact that I can't beat him, I would have rubbed him into the ground long ago. But I recruited him myself. Even if I have to cry, I must endure it. This brat has a terrible personality. Don't be angry. Uzumaki Jun took off the mask and said helplessly, trust me, we're on the same side. Don't be such a mama's boy, crying over every little thing. I can't see how we're on the same side. As for that last part he didn't understand, Zetsu ignored it. This brat always spouted incomprehensible nonsense. What exactly do you want to do? Zetsu frowned, just say it. You know we can't let the ninja world find out about us now. Especially Lord Madara. Otherwise, we'd be in danger. For mother. He endured. Vermin. Uzumaki Jun looked at Zetsu disdainfully, doing bad things but not even daring to admit it. Calm down, calm down. Zetsu comforted himself. Don't get angry. You can't beat him yet. Don't get angry, or you'll lose if you get beaten to death. You still have a great mission to accomplish. Endure for now and live in peace. Calm down. However, didn't I say our organization has been lying low for too long? Uzumaki Jun seemed to notice Zetsu's inner turmoil and said, it's time to make some noise and let the ninja world know about our organization. Better not provoke Zetsu now. If this sneaky guy stabs Uzushiagakure in the back later, what then? He still needed this alter ego. Zetsu frowned, you know we're not ready to appear in the ninja world yet. It's fine. Someone else will take the blame. Uzumaki Jun said casually, no one will know it's us. Zetsu was silent for a moment, then asked helplessly, where to? The land of lightning. Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes, to recruit a clan. Chapter 137, It seems you want to taste the power of the Manjiki. Don't look so grim. Uzumaki Jun, wearing a mask, said with a smile. Smile a little. It's rare for our organization to have another official trip. Be happy. If you keep looking so miserable, who would want to join? You'll scare people away. However, who wants to go out? Zetsu rolled his eyes and ignored Uzumaki Jun. He didn't want to go out at all. After infiltrating the shinobi world for thousands of years, he was suddenly dragged into the spotlight by this kid for no reason. He was bitter. Why did he think this brat was so talented back then and wanted to recruit him to achieve peace in the shinobi world? If not for that, no one would be able to suppress him now. By the way, speaking of official funds, Uzumaki Jun suddenly remembered something and said, can I get reimbursed? And also reimburse the money from last time. Zetsu looked at Uzumaki Jun in shock. What kind of environment did this brat grow up in to develop such a thick skin? He said irritably, we never spent any money. Not this time, nor last time. Is that so? Uzumaki Jun immediately sighed, losing interest. So it's a budget trip after all. For a moment, he felt the urge to quit his job. But then he thought. This is all for the peace of the shinobi world, for building a harmonious new era of socialism, for the happiness of the people in the shinobi world. Instantly, he was filled with motivation. Zetsu decided to ignore this brat. Looking at the desolate area before them, wasn't this place? Zetsu narrowed his eyes and looked at Uzumaki Jun. Aren't you afraid Lord Madara will be angry if you come looking for these people? Relax, bosses are usually very broad-minded. Uzumaki Jun, of course, knew what Zetsu meant and said casually, for the great cause of our organization, Lord Madara will understand. Great cause my foot. You little brat keep making the organization take the blame for you, while you reap the benefits, and still call it the organization's great cause. Zetsu looked at Uzumaki Jun and said coldly, don't forget our goal. Of course. Uzumaki Jun raised his head reverently, looking at the moon, though it was noon and the moon wasn't visible. He said excitedly, that is a truly great goal. However, Zetsu's expression looked as if he had swallowed dozens of pounds of dung. This brat was truly disgusting. If not for having mixed with him so many times, even he might have believed it. But now, this nasty little brat. Relax. Uzumaki Jun patted Zetsu's shoulder and said, have some confidence. Under Lord Madara's leadership, we will achieve our goal. Damn you. Stop talking. To this day, Zetsu still didn't know what this brat's real goal was. For the peace of the shinobi world? What a joke. Wanting to become an arms dealer while talking about peace in the shinobi world? Who are you fooling? In his 1,000 years in the shinobi world, he had never seen such peace. He glanced to the side and said coldly, someone is following us. It seemed they had been tailed for quite some time. I already knew. Uzumaki Jun shrugged and said, I'm just waiting for him to inform the Reikage to come. Otherwise, who would watch our performance? Uzumaki Jun stared intently at the corner and said calmly, make sure to capture my good side. Kyumigakur. Lord Reikage. An ANBU ninja respectfully addressed the muscular man with a bare upper body. Two suspicious individuals have entered the land of lightning. They are heading toward the Hell Valley. Reikage frowned upon hearing this. What do they look like? They match the description from Uegakur. Black robes with red clouds. The ANBU Jonin said. And one of them is Manjiki Sharingan. Instantly, A's pupils dilated. What were these two dangerous individuals doing in the land of lightning? It was obvious. They were here to cause trouble. But why the Hell Valley? It was known that since the Warring States period, that area had been used to imprison the Shinoite clan. Before the villages were established, the daimyo of the land of lightning had invited the Uchiha to guard it. But after the villages were formed and military forces were clearly divided, the Kumonin took over guarding the Shinoite clan. Now, going to the Hell Valley. Though he didn't care what happened to the Shinoite clan, if they were wiped out by the Uchiha within the land of lightning, as the strongest in the land of lightning and the Reikage, how could he save face? Notify the ANBU. Quickly arrange for the sealing team to guard the tailed beasts. Reikage roared in his loud voice. Especially B, tell him to stay put. Now was not the time for him to appear. Yes. The ANBU nodded in acknowledgement. Reikage's sharp gaze turned toward the direction of Hell Valley. He wanted to see for himself the Manjiki that even that shorty Noki couldn't stop. Smile a little. Uzumaki Jun looked at Zetsu, who kept a grim face, and said helplessly, show the spiritual demeanor of our enterprise. Otherwise, how could anyone want to join? However, Zetsu rolled his eyes and said helplessly, that's your business. My business is our business. Uzumaki Jun said. We are one. Don't forget our ultimate goal. To bring peace and hope to the shinobi world. This damn brat. Zetsu sighed and said, the people you want to recruit have already noticed us. He looked at Uzumaki Jun with schadenfreude. Don't forget what you look like now. Uchiha. Let's see how you plan to recruit anyone after the fight starts. Uzumaki Jun nodded faintly and said, now, call me Lord Madara. No, it's Shin. Zetsu said helplessly. Uchiha Shin. You bastard. Oh, then call me Lord Shin. Halt. Just as Uzumaki Jun and Zetsu stepped into Hell Valley, someone jumped out. Uchiha clan. Seeing the Manjiki Sharingan revealed by Uzumaki Jun, the person immediately raised a kunao with hatred. What are you doing here? Did they come to finish off the Shinoite clan because they hadn't all died yet? To ensure only one red-eyed clan remained in the shinobi world. Don't be so agitated. Uzumaki Jun said calmly. We're not here to fight. Where is the leader of the Shinoik clan? What business do you have with our leader? The Shinoik youth remained unmoved and said sharply. We have nothing to say to the Uchiha clan. If you won't tell me, I'll wipe you all out. Uzumaki Jun said disdainfully. After all, he had the Manjiki. Even if it was fake. But no one else knew that. And now, he didn't have time to chat leisurely. That muscle-bound rakage would probably arrive soon with his lightning release. As for ideological education, leave that to the schools. Right now, he just needed to take these people to Uzushiagakuer. You. The Shinoik youth was infuriated by Uzumaki Jun's disdainful words and looked ready to fight this despicable Uchiha to the death. It seems you really want to experience the power of the Manjiki. Uzumaki Jun formed a hand seal, as if preparing to use his ocular power, when? What business do you have with me, old man? A middle-aged man in his 30s or 40s, with red eyes, walked out with a dark expression. Member of the Uchiha clan. Finally showed up, hey. Uzumaki Jun sneered. It seems you're truly afraid of the Manjiki. However, Zetsu, standing to the side, could only roll his eyes at Uzumaki Jun's act. What Manjiki? Wasn't it fake? You damn Uzumaki brat. Chapter 138, Who are you? Under a mix of threats and incentives, if you don't take me to a place with no people around, I'll use my Manjiki to wipe out your entire Shinoik clan. So, the leader of the Shinoik clan had no choice but to grudgingly lead Uzumaki Jun and Zetsu deep into Hell Valley. This was the place where the Shinoik clan usually held meetings. Normally, unless something important was happening, the clan members wouldn't come here. However, although the Shinoik clan wasn't restricted from moving within Hell Valley, the Land of Lightning forbade them from leaving. If even a single Shinoik member appeared outside, they would be killed immediately, and the rest of the clan in Hell Valley would suffer the consequences. After so many years had passed, the hatred the Shinoik clan held for the Uchiha clan had faded somewhat. Though it hadn't completely disappeared with time. Their current goal was simply to leave Hell Valley, find a place that would accept them, and start a new life somewhere they wouldn't have to suffer from hunger or cold. But this was impossible. Ever since they were falsely accused of assassinating the Land of Lightning's daimyo, the Shinoik clan had lost all chance of leaving this place. The Shinoik leader still harbored resentment toward the Uchiha clan for being accomplices, but for the sake of his people, he suppressed it. With his hands behind his back, he said coldly, You. What the hell? The Shinoik leader suddenly froze. Especially when the masked Manjiki wearer removed his mask and took off his Manjiki. What the hell was this? Uzumaki Jun was quite satisfied with the stunned expression on the Shinoik leader's face. This world didn't have colored contact lenses, nor hair dye. Who would have thought that this Uchiha was actually an Uzumaki? I am Uki. Uzumaki Jun. Uzumaki Jun declared. It seemed he had pretended to be an Uchiha so many times that it had become a habit. The current daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. The Shinoik leader was completely baffled by what was happening. What was going on? Or rather, what was up with those Manjiki? Could that film really be taken off? Was this some new ability of the Uchiha? Oh, this. Noticing the Shinoik leader's confusion, Uzumaki Jun smiled. A specialty of the Land of Whirlpool's colored contacts. 1 million ryo per pair. Want one? Beside him, Zetsu rolled his eyes. Specialty of the Land of Whirlpools? He had investigated the Land of Whirlpools for days and found nothing like this. After lurking in the shinobi world for so many years, he had never seen such a strange thing anywhere else. Fake. The Shinoik leader carefully took the contact lens. Uchiha. Uzumaki. I'm Uzumaki Jun, Uzumaki Jun corrected helplessly. The current daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. A midget? The Shinoik leader asked skeptically. Do you Shinoik people still want a happy life or not? Saying such things right to someone's face. Uzumaki Jun took a deep breath. I'm only 8 years old. He glared at Zetsu, who was snickering beside him. If Toby had come along, he wouldn't have had to endure being called a midget. This hurt. He was just a kid. 8. The Shinoik leader stared at Uzumaki Jun in disbelief. An 8-year-old daimyo. Old man, don't let this kid's height. Ouch. Don't let his youth fool you. He's already a cage, Zetsu said, wiping away cold sweat. That killing intent just now almost made him meet his maker. Ordinary cage-level shinobi aren't his match. Instantly, the Shinoik leader was shocked. He scrutinized Uzumaki Jun and asked warily, "Why have you come to Hell Valley?" "To lead the Shinoik clan to prosperity, of course," Uzumaki Jun declared righteously, "to raise the happiness index of the shinobi world." "What the hell?" Both Zetsu and the Shinoik leader broke out in cold sweat. "To take your clan away from here," Uzumaki Jun said helplessly. Why didn't anyone believe him? Everything he did was for the sake of the shinobi world. Hearing this, the Shinoik leader narrowed his eyes. "Aren't you afraid of the Land of Lightning? Or rather, the Cloud Village, one of the 5 great shinobi villages?" "No problem." Uzumaki Jun waved his hand dismissively. "We'll just pin it on the Uchiha clan." Now the Shinoik leader finally understood what this kid was planning, to shift the blame onto Konoha. He glanced at the delicate-looking colored contact lens. This might actually work. "What does the Shinoik clan need to offer in return?" the leader asked solemnly. Though they desperately wanted to leave Hell Valley. If leaving meant certain death, they might as well stay where they were. "Loyalty," Uzumaki Jun said. "Loyalty to the Land of Whirlpools." "Fine." The Shinoik leader nodded. Right now, loyalty was all they had left. He wasn't surprised by this demand. That was just how the shinobi world worked. If you wanted to be used, you had to have value. "So, what do you need the Shinoik clan to do now?" "Gather your people. We'll evacuate you in batches," Uzumaki Jun said, putting his mask and contacts back on. "Time is tight. Hurry up." This time, there was no script. They just had to destroy Hell Valley outright. This level of hatred should be enough. Knock knock. Suddenly, there was a sound at the cave entrance. "It's just a kid from the Shinoik clan," Zetsu said dismissively. "No one else?" Relieved, the Shinoik leader opened the door and saw a young boy standing outside. He scolded, "En, who told you to come here?" They were in the middle of discussing the future of the Shinoik clan. "Father," Shinoik En said respectfully. "I was worried about you, so I came to check." He glanced behind the Shinoik leader. Was that masked man really from the Uchiha clan? Indeed. Red eyes, and those mysterious patterns. However. Nonsense. The Shinoik leader barked. "Get out of!" Before he could finish, he felt a hand on his shoulder. "Don't be so harsh," Uzumaki Jun said with a smile. "Or you'll have a rebellious face to deal with later." He looked at Shinoik En, who appeared to be around 10 years old. This kid was another ruthless one, just like Itaki, someone who would slaughter his own clan without hesitation. The Land of Whirlpools provides free education to its citizens, instilling proper values and a sense of purpose from a young age, Uzumaki Jun said seriously. Guiding children toward a bright future, freeing them from confusion, helping them rise above petty desires, and become people who contribute to society. All 3 of them stared blankly at Uzumaki Jun. What was he even saying? "Who are you?" Shinoik En asked warily, eyeing the Uchiha who was about his height. "The Shinoik clan isn't afraid of you." "I am." Uchiha Madara. Chapter 139. After scaring that little brat around 10 years old until he collapsed, Zetsu jumped out again shouting that he believed in the Lord. It seemed he really wanted to lie low until the end of the Third War, to find someone who could inherit Uchiha Madara's legacy, before daring to hide behind that person. But couldn't Uzumaki Jun do it? He had the Sharingan, fire release, taijutsu, height. He was still growing, wouldn't he be suitable in a few years? Sigh. After being involved in underworld activities for over 1,000 years, he was still this cowardly. What a disgrace to the name of the Sage of Six Paths' younger brother. So, Uzumaki Jun transformed into Uchiha Shin again. And he wasn't stupid enough to actually impersonate Uchiha Madara at this time. If he did, who knows how long the Second War would drag on. After all, if there were forces in the shadows of the shinobi world that even the 5 great villages didn't know about, and they were this strong, how could they fight with peace of mind? So this time, Uzumaki Jun's goal was to find a few opponents for Konoha. Otherwise, Konoha would probably win too easily this time. As Konoha's ally, Uzumaki Jun decided to let Konoha showcase its reputation and prestige in this war, to once again solidify its position as the leader of the 5 great villages. Thus, a few strong opponents to serve as foils were absolutely necessary. Looking at the 5 years of the Second Shinobi World War. Land of Rain vs Land of Fire. Land of Rain vs Land of Earth. Land of Rain vs Land of Wind. Land of Wind vs Land of Fire. Land of Earth vs Land of Lightning. Konoha fought 1 against 2, forcing Hiruzen Sarutobi to break the rules set by his teacher and send the Uchiha clan to participate in the war. So the Uchiha clan was really pitiful. When they were needed, they had to risk their lives. When they weren't needed, they could only stay quietly in the village, waiting to be killed whenever someone felt like it. This was practically a black-hearted company. No weekends, no raises, sending you on errands for no reason, using you as a shield when trouble came. If it were you, wouldn't you quit? And look at the Land of Rain in the shinobi world. This small country was so innocent. Konoha, Suna, and Iwa, the 3 great villages, ignored the Land of Rain's stance and directly used its territory as a battlefield. The 3 great nations recklessly unleashed jutsu in the Land of Rain, terrifying its citizens and forcing them to flee their homes, without even giving them a choice. So Hanzo of the Salamander, the demigod of the Land of Rain, fearlessly declared war on the 3 great villages. And then, Suna and Iwa, seeing they couldn't do anything to the Land of Rain, simply switched opponents. Konoha gained the legendary 3 and then left 2. The Land of Rain, as the victorious nation, ended up looking like the defeated one. Especially since it later listened to Konoha's danzo and basically destroyed itself. Hanzo probably wanted to carve the word tragedy in blood on Danzo's thigh. Though we both have Zo in our names, you can't just screw me over like this. You told me to kill people, but when things got tough, you just ran away with your subordinates. So, if Uzumaki Jun weren't a transmigrator with tough luck, and Uzushiagakuer hadn't survived, just look under Hiruzen Sarutobi's leadership, none of Konoha's allies ended up well. They're here. Uzumaki Jun stood up, wearing a mask, and stared in the direction of Kumagakuer. Due to their harsh living conditions, the Shinoite clan didn't have many members, only about 30 or so. They were all sent out quickly. After finishing the delivery, Uzumaki Jun and Zetsu waited quietly. Lights ready, camera steady. Uzumaki Jun said calmly to Zetsu beside him. Make sure the shots are clear. Got it. Zetsu replied casually. He hadn't expected this brat to actually call him here just to film. Remember, you're Uchiha Shin now. Uzumaki Jun rolled his eyes. I'm not stupid. Right now, we're framing Konoha. Can we use Boss Madara's name? Uchiha Madara had already cut ties with the Uchiha clan. Back then, Madara tried to seize power, but the Uchiha clan, craving peace, didn't listen to their clan leader. So, Madara faced Hashirama alone. In the end, he could only fake his death to escape. And this Zetsu? After living for over 1,000 years, his courage was like a mouse's. Uzumaki Jun gave Zetsu a disdainful look. Coward. However, Zetsu ignored Uzumaki Jun's mockery. After all, he wasn't an ordinary person. He had lived for over 1,000 years, shouldering the great mission of a filial son? A little mockery? He had heard it for over 1,000 years. So, he simply split off a white Zetsu to carry the camera and hide somewhere. No matter what, those who could be called Kage were not simple figures. And he was an intelligent being. He couldn't defeat them, so it was better to lie low honestly. At this moment. So it really is the Manjiki. The shirtless Raikage, appeared, his body radiating purple light lightning release armor. The Raikage frowned at the masked boy in front of him and muttered, just as the big-nosed guy said, a shorty. Damn it. Where was he short? He just hadn't finished growing yet. Uzumaki Jun immediately greeted the Raikage with a fire release, great fireball technique, then teleport behind him. The Raikage didn't hesitate either. After dodging the fireball, he turned and threw a punch. Kumagakuer Shinobi didn't bother with flashy moves. It was all about brute force. The Raikage lifted his leg and kicked. As his foot descended. Hell stab, four-finger pierce. A signature technique of Kumagakuer, concentrating chakra into 4 fingers for incredible piercing and destructive power. However, Uzumaki Jun had no intention of clashing head-on. A couple of exchanges were enough. He teleported away and simultaneously. Fire release, great fire annihilation. Uzumaki Jun formed hand seals. A B-rank jutsu, amplified by his skill level and chakra, unleashed a torrent of flames with impressive spectacle. Then, he jumped to a nearby hillside and calmly watched as the Recruitment dodged the flames. But, boom! The Hell Valley behind him couldn't withstand the fire and was instantly engulfed in flames. If Noki was an area of effect attacker, the Recruitment was a single target fighter. So Noki could disperse the flames, but A could only watch with a livid expression. Kumagakur lacked water nature shinobi. Recruitment activated his lightning release at full power and charged at the masked figure on the hillside, ready to capture the culprit. But just as he was about to strike, as expected of one of the 5 Kage, the masked man dodged the Recruitment's taijutsu and laughed. Uchiha! Lord Shin! Before he could finish, Zetsu suddenly emerged from the ground nearby and said calmly, Lord Shin. Both Uzumaki Jun and the Recruitment were stunned. In the heat of battle, just as you're about to deliver a cool line, someone interrupts you. The feeling. Uzumaki Jun suddenly had something he needed to say. He forgot what he was going to say to the Recruitment. This act had failed spectacularly. He glared at Zetsu this time. He wasn't trying to impersonate Madara. What a terrible teammate. The Recruitment, however, didn't hesitate. Regaining his focus, he threw a punch, only to watch in shock as the short masked man blocked his fist with one hand. This Uchiha! His taijutsu was no joke. Let's fight another time. Uzumaki Jun pushed the Recruitment away, shot Zetsu a look, and said flatly, Space-time ninjutsu. Hearing this, Zetsu understood he was supposed to fake a space-time ninjutsu escape. Damn it! The Recruitment watched the two prepare to leave, especially after hearing space-time ninjutsu. It seemed the big-nosed guy hadn't lied that strange hidden figure really could use space-time ninjutsu. Just as he was about to charge and interrupt. See you! Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes and waved. Then, he left behind a dumbfounded Recruitment and the Kumonin who had just arrived. Chapter 140. At the end of the year, 29th year of Konoha. Yesterday, the Land of Lightning was attacked by a mysterious organization, suffering heavy losses. The long-standing Shinoite clan within the country was brutally exterminated by a mysterious figure from the Uchiha clan. At the same time, the treasured 6 Paths tools were stolen. According to the Recruitment's description, the terrorists who attacked the Land of Lightning were the same as the mysterious individuals who assaulted Iwagakure, a short masked man with a single spiral eye and a strangely featured individual capable of space-time ninjutsu. The Recruitment warned all major villages to carefully safeguard their assets and beware of thieves. At the same time, he issued a warning to the 2 thieves, if he ever sees them again. Have you ever seen a fist as big as a sand pot? Konoha. What are your thoughts? Sarutobi Hiruzen took another troubled puff of his cigarette. He hadn't expected these 2 mysterious individuals to reappear. Space-time ninjutsu and the Mangeki Sharingan, these were troublesome techniques indeed. But who exactly were these 2 people? Is this mysterious organization collecting the 6 Paths tools? Yuditen Koharu frowned as she looked at the intel in her hands. In Iwagakure, they wiped out the Kamaizuru clan and stole the 6 Paths tools. Now, in the Land of Lightning, they exterminated another clan and took the 6 Paths tools again. Couldn't they just take the tools? Why did they have to wipe out 1 or 2 clans? That remains unclear. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head. But, are there really that many legendary tools in the ninja world? The intel provided by our subordinates doesn't mention it. Yuditen Koharu scanned the report again. We should investigate further to determine exactly what these 6 Paths tools are. Or, was this intel even real or fake? Konoha had dealt with Iwagakure and Kumagakure many times before, yet they had never seen any 6 Paths tools in their possession. Well, except for the 2 terrorists from Kumagakure Gold and Silver Brothers, who had ambushed the second Hokage back then, they supposedly had some. Were these their tools? After Gold was crushed by the Recruitment, were the weapons taken by the Land of Lightning? I'll arrange it, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, taking another puff. This was indeed a blind spot. They needed to clearly understand the goals of these mysterious individuals to avoid being so passive. He turned to Dance and asked, has there been any movement from the Uchiha clan recently? He remembered that Dance had been getting rather close to the Uchiha since his return. Monitor every move of the Uchiha clan members closely, Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes at Dance. If there's any action that threatens the village, then... Dan's heart tightened. Though Hiruzen hadn't finished his sentence, he understood his old friend's meaning. Right now, the entire ninja world believed that only Konoha could produce such powerful individuals, especially since one of them possessed the Manjiki Sharingan. Aside from Konoha's Uchiha clan, who else could it be? So, if push came to shove, for the sake of Konoha's stability and the peace of the ninja world, this matter would have to be pinned on the Uchiha. And in the end, Dans, you'll have to wield the blade. If they were right, it would be the Hokage's wise leadership. If they were wrong, it would be the fault of subordinates acting recklessly, resulting in nothing more than Dans being temporarily removed from his position as Root's leader. No real loss either way. But for the sake of the village's safety. Understood. I will keep a close eye on the Uchiha clan's movements, Dans frowned solemnly. However, I don't believe the Uchiha clan is responsible for this. After days of investigation, he had found no trace of the Manjiki Sharingan among the Uchiha. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Dans a deep look and nodded. Just stay vigilant. Inside, however, he sighed helplessly. The old Dans would never have defended anyone. If there was even the slightest threat to the village, he would act immediately, regardless of truth. But now, he was actually speaking up for the Uchiha? He had truly changed. Changed so much that even his friend of over 20 years barely recognized him. Land of Whirlpools. Kakuzu cheerfully carried his notebook as he followed Uzumaki Jun into the cave. He had heard that another big client had arrived in the Land of Whirlpools today, seeking a loan to buy a house. So, early in the morning, he had groomed himself meticulously, even washing his long hair for the first time in years using the newly developed shampoo from the Land of Whirlpools. It felt quite comfortable, though the scent was a bit strong and unsuitable for shinobi. After all, shinobi needed to remain hidden. How could they stay concealed with such a strong smell? But today, for the sake of money as the Land of Whirlpool's Minister of Finance, he endured it. It's another interest-free loan, Uzumaki Jun said helplessly, looking at Kakuzu's excited expression. Don't squeeze them too hard. They're just a bunch of poor folks. After the previous incidents where Jun had taken money without permission, the Minister of Finance had been displeased. So now, whenever money was involved, Jun made sure to consult Kakuzu first. Otherwise, what if Kakuzu resigned in protest? No problem. The Kamaizuru clan was dirt poor when they first arrived too, Kakuzu said casually, grinning. But aren't they doing well now? Their honey sales are quite good. Not only had they almost repaid their debts, but they had also contributed a fair amount in taxes. I hope you'll still be this happy later, Uzumaki Jun thought helplessly. The Kamaizuru clan had managed to repay quickly due to their inherent advantages. But the Shinoite clan? What could they even do? Jun hadn't figured that out yet. What are you muttering about? Kakuzu frowned, noticing Jun's odd behavior. Oh, right. What about that big business you mentioned last time? Big business? Uzumaki Jun looked puzzled before suddenly remembering. Ah, right. It really is big business. Arms dealing that was big enough, right? But it's not the right time yet, Jun sighed. The war hadn't started. Who would even buy this stuff? And they'd need to find a genin to run some ads first to drive up the price. Not the right time? Kakuzu asked. When will it be? When the war starts, Uzumaki Jun sighed. I'll also get you a disguise. The Land of Whirlpools absolutely could not be directly involved in arms dealing. What disguise? Kakuzu frowned. What did that even mean? A new identity. Our current ones aren't suitable, Uzumaki Jun explained. You'll understand when the time comes. When? Probably within the next 2 or 3 years. The war was coming soon. Though Konoha had suffered heavy losses in the First War, as the victorious nation and thanks to the Land of Fire's vast resources, the village had recovered relatively quickly. The other villages weren't so fortunate, whether located in remote mountainous regions or barren deserts. So, to catch up with Konoha, war was inevitable.
Thanks for listening.